Hello, and welcome to this video. Now, I'm somebody who's never actually reacted to an alternative history video because, in general, I think they're kind of tame. Okay, because you know the way it's like. Basically, in general, if someone has an alternative history video, they're basically saying if this happened, and like you're not able to really critique that because it's like, well, it didn't happen. But then, yeah, that's the point. It's if it did, even if it's insane. If it did, like if I said alternative history, if the Native Americans who were in South America when the Spanish arrived had guns, let's say machine guns, it would have been very different. Now they didn't. It's not like a strategy like if they'd moved one step to the left situation, but it's like if they did, imagine they did, pretend for a moment they did. Just it's not you can't really critique that because it is alternative history. But sometimes intros can be a bit difficult. And this time I'm reacting to somebody who's reacting to an alternative history video. I don't necessarily disagree with them, but there's a few things here. If you don't know, by the way, we're like 2 minutes in almost. If you don't know, I'm somebody who has made not alternative history but history critiques to content before. I remember I made a history critique to the film 300, which is fucking awful. Sorry, but just really that film just really annoys me. It is very historically inaccurate. Just really more like it's something I can depict and it's just. Right, let's get into the video. So let's go ahead and have our reaction only.
So while I was on the bus home at the time of this recording, someone in my Discord, shout out, mentioned this video, which is from an alternate history channel, and alternate history channels tend to be kind of wacky sometimes.
I think there actually is one main alternate history, which is I think it's like Alternative History Hub. It's kind of sad in a way because alternative history can sort of collapse into being like mostly like there's like one main channel that's alternative history and then there's all the other ones below. I don't think I've ever made an alternative history video before, but actually maybe I did. I'm not quite sure. In general, I've only ever made these kind of videos in like a fun way. I haven't really made them in a serious historical discussion way. Just because in general it's but anyway, yeah. All I'm saying is just this video is gonna be a bit different. It's discussing in relation to it's not really alternative history in a way. It looks more to be like alternative future way, which is a bit odd because that's not really history. That's just politics, which pulling from history, which isn't always the greatest because it's like, well, it is different now, and this is what we're getting
and
sorry,
a couple of takes from it, and I was like, I kind of want to address some of the things that are being said here because the video has like 200,000 views, and this past video that the same guy made, which he thinks wasn't as good as what he could produce, has 1.1 million views. Which, some of the things that I heard, if they remain unaddressed, could probably be a little bit damaging. So let's set the record straight. First, I'm going to basically do like a live react, but I'm going to edit it down because this video is 30 minutes long. You do not want to see me pause and address everything for whatever time that would take. That would be incredibly boring. So I'm going to try to make this video shorter than the original video, maybe, and just address the most crazy things in the 30-minute video as I see them. And then maybe edit in a little bit of extra context here and there if needed. Alright, let's get in.
Sorry, yeah. One thing I will be maybe I think this I'm not quite sure though. My editing tends to be like very light, but
When I made the last version of this video a couple years ago, I was back in high school back then. I had no idea how bad things would get over the next couple years. Since then, we've seen both political parties in America claim the election results are faulty.
Which,
no, sorry, before we get into it, yeah, did Hillary Clinton claim this? Did Hillary Clinton claim this? I know Donald Trump claimed it back in 2016, which is very funny to me, by the way, when it's like, Hillary Clinton will rig the election. It's like, you won. So she rigged the election, didn't she? Yeah, okay. She lost, though. Who would go to the trouble of... Because, keep in mind, rigging an election is very easy. Getting away with it is the difficult part. But actually rigging it is very easy once you have enough support and money. And yeah, she could have rigged the election. The only problem is she lost. So she lost, wow. And keep in mind, she lost, by proportional reputation, not by popular vote. So she won the trouble of winning, but not enough trouble to win. Is that what you're saying? Because if so, I wonder... I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying... She should really sack the team that helped her do that because, my God, that's fucking awful. I guess it's like, well, she got the team from Ireland, like, the way they came over from Ireland and then they didn't realise there was proportional representation. They just thought, win the popular vote. They ensure she go to... I guess you could make that argument, like, that they were just bad at their jobs, but, I mean, to me, it's just, I guess what I'm trying to say, it makes sense from a Trump angle to say, well, he actually won the popular vote as well, but it's just a bit odd to say that she would rig an election that she'd also failed to win, But that does happen, Like in history, I'm pretty sure we do have instances of threatening electors, and then the electors do as they're told, but like you didn't threaten enough of them. But anyway, yeah. So both of them have that. I'm not that. Yeah, that's meant twice. He said twice. I'm not sure if Clinton said it before. So
bad things would get over the next couple years. Since then, we've seen both political parties in America claim the election results are faulty.
I'm not sure. Both political parties, not the European of the people. Well, with Trump was more saying that. The Republicans weren't saying that before Trump was,
I guess he was in high school when he made the last video, which was 5 years ago, when the Americans would have
So like 18, so 19, 20, 23, maybe 23 years old now.
high school. He might not remember the
Oh, the previous one as well.
Gore v. Bush election, where
Yeah.
there were also allegations of fraud, and those are
I'm not. See, with that though, I think the argument wasn't. I don't think the argument. Well, maybe it was. I'm not quite sure. I'm pretty sure it was more so that there was arguments of miscounting and stuff like that. I'm not sure if it was fraudulent allegations, but I'd believe that. Gee, I'm not quite sure there, but I think it was also just allegations of miscounting. Well, in the 2020 election, it was more so like no, this was actually
very credible. I'll put up a blurb, and then I'll.
So yeah. With the past 16 years, ever since the epidemic 36-day presidential showdown in Florida in 2000, that was resolved not by a full recount, that was the thing, but by a Supreme Court split among partisan lines. That's something there. I think it was not necessarily like accusations of vote rigging and out-and-out theft have become increasingly common among partisans on both sides, and the electoral process has become even more polarized, reckless, and fraught with mistrust. It began perhaps when the hand recount, hand recount of punch card ballots. I'm not saying, by the way, that Americans are backwards. I'm just saying maybe we should move a little bit beyond punch card ballots because those are notoriously really bad to use. Like the whole idea of using paper, just using paper where you tick a box, it's just so much easier, right? Because if it gets spoiled, it gets treated as a spoiled vote. That way, it doesn't go to either person. If you're like, I'm not sure who that's for, so spoiled vote, there we go. And that means that there's a high amount of spoiled votes. You just have enough people to go, I did not spoil my vote though. So new. And then something both parties opportunity press for in previous contested elections was recast by man-leading Republicans in Republicans as slow motion grand larceny.
Put a link in the description so you can read all that.
The Capitol was stormed by rebels. The major cities of the Pacific Northwest literally had rebellions.
I think the
So
the Capitol was stormed by rebels. The major cities of the Pacific Northwest literally had rebellions.
I think he might be overstating the danger of maybe both of these instances. Of course, the Capitol was stormed by, I guess, insurrectionists is the correct term.
I mean, I think they are. I'm not sure about that though. Like, America is a pretty violent country.
And there were, I think, the people of the Pacific Northwest,
like they had police there, so
the cities where these settings
they hadn't.
happened. These protests of particularly summer
I'm not sure people would have been hurt, but I'm just saying overall violence is the problem.
20 after the murder of George Floyd. Like they call those uprisings, which I suppose they were, but I don't think they were like on the level of borderline civil war. The murder of George Floyd. Like they call those Pacific Northwest cities where these things happened. These protests of particularly summer 2020 after the murder of George Floyd. Like they call
like Black Lives Matter is a bit of a weird one to put in the same fucking breath as invading the Capitol. Like if the Capitol had people also the issue of course with invading the Capitol is that they had support from the people who are were politicians. You have politicians going, yeah boy, come on, let them dig, raising their fist for them. So that's sort of there. But it's a very odd thing to compare the two. Like, okay, and Black Lives Matter is like in general, but it's very weird to say because the insurrectionists in during January 6th they're not necessarily type. That's in the same way that like a country saying to America that has like no military is like not a threat when they're like, America, we'll go to war with you, and America's just like, okay, and we're gonna, you've no friends, so bomb you and problem solved. Now your entire country is being wiped off the face of the planet. There's no more houses there. So yeah, that problem is dealt with very efficiently. There you go. But that country's still a threat if you don't respond. If you know what I mean. Like it's still a threat. It's just not really a real threat. You know what I mean? Anyway, that's just there. They are violent. The insurrectionists in January 6th. It's just that they're not likely to actually be able to do anything. But and Protestants that's what be that would be a weird one to put on the opposite side. Because that's not really a democratic issue, is it? Like the Democrats support the police in almost as much as the Republicans, maybe without the additional support thing. With like, I think maybe we should make sure that the police are not like, murdering people. But they're not going to do institutional change, which is necessary. And I can kind of understand that from the political point of view. I think a lot of people who look at these events are not really thinking from the political point of view. They see that the Democrats are not the Republicans. They go, we'll do this. And it's like, that's not what the Democrats do, though. That's not a particular ideology. If you're somebody who wants the Democrats to, reform the police as an institution, as a whole, that's not what they're going to do. Well, maybe they will do in the future, but that's not what they're going to do at the moment because that's not their ideology. Somebody who's left of the Democrats may well do that, but the Democrats are not actually that left wing. Sorry.
All those uprisings, which I suppose they were, but I don't think they were like on the level of borderline civil war or anything. It's just protesters clashing with police, which is a thing that has happened in America for a very long time. It's why you have weekends, for example, look up the Haymarket Rebellion.
Yes, I will say that the reason why Black Lives Matter would be a bit of a bigger thing was because it's like if you just had a regular sort of people get murdered in the street every single day because of their quality of their teeth, I'd say. So all day long, people are getting arrested. Nobody's really doing anything about it. People who are affected they're trying to stop it, but nobody else is doing anything about it. There's a few here and there, and then there's this massive uprising where people are like, no, don't do that, and then they're like, okay, you're not gonna do any of that? Okay, I'm gonna go back home. And people who are affected like, you're gonna go back home? Oh, okay, set that protest you had. What was that? That was for like nothing, wasn't it? Okay, I mean. Didn't really do anything, but and that's the thing there. So I will say, to be fair, it's a little bit of a bigger thing when it's like, well, this is the thing that's been going on for hundreds of years, but only now really have people begun to do it,
With violent riots.
But yeah, I in an argument could be like, well, that's the same as ordinary.
Country, and the nation is more polarized than ever.
I think so.
Sorry.
Haymarket Rebellion.
With violent riots spreading across the country, and the nation is
Violent. Is this person like against Black Lives Matter? Because I mean, the only the violent riots to me is very, very weird. As a person who came from a country that used violence to get independence. By the way, I don't necessarily agree with everyone who was involved in the independence movement. I'm not saying that everyone was right. Certain people I think should have been killed afterwards or before. The way you see this characterized is like very odd. Like, okay, but what do you expect them to do? Someone who's violent in a protest. Yeah, that's the point. It's like people who get angry at unions. It's like their trains aren't running. They can be going back to work. It's like that's the point, buddy. Because the trains can't run without their labor. They're pointing out to you that unless you pay them more money, then the trains won't run. Thus, that's the point. You pay them more money. It's to encourage you to pay them more money, and that way the trains can return to running. Because it's like, if the trains could run without their labor, then they'll be like, well, yeah, you can't really pay them more money because they're not valuable enough. It's basically applying a market ideology into, not socialism, but something like that, where it's like, well, we want to be paid a fair wage, and the thing is, in a market terms, we're just going to withdraw our labor. And the same way that the company can withdraw their goods and services, and the government goes, what? Well, what do you mean? And the company goes, well, we would like a tax break if you don't give us the thing there. We would like some policy changes if we don't do that. And then the government goes, okay. The government in that situation, of course, could just hire out more people or get a different company, because that would cost a lot of money and wouldn't probably suit the ideology of a corporation. Of a government. Practically the same thing in this scenario. Or that supports corporations having control over, essential services. Anyway.
More polarized than ever.
I don't think so.
I think
America literally had a civil war in the 1860s.
I will say, to be fair to the person who appears to be closer and closer to being not the person I'm reacting to, but the person who made the video, appears to be closer and closer to somebody who is like very, very right wing in this sort of a softer way. You know what I mean? I'm not sure about their framing of things like Black Lives Matter, which is very odd. I will say, to be fair, they are like. You could say that in the Civil War, there was a lot less issues that divided the people. It's just that they were a lot more willing to fight over them. Like if I really, 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 really hated chocolate ice cream, if I ever saw you having chocolate ice cream or consuming it, or whatever the case may be, I would fucking murder you. And anyone who stood by you, and anyone who said that I wasn't allowed to murder you, or, it was bad too, I'd murder them too. And everyone who thought that was bad as well, until only the people who thought what I did was really, really good was left. For the really ones that are like, no, that's what you should be, And then everyone else is like, I don't think we should let you murder people for the ice cream they cheat. We're gonna have to stop you. And you can't stop me. It's fucking crazy world. And it's like that occurs to multiple people. Like it's kind of stupid. You murdered loads of people over ice cream, really? But that's the point there. It's one issue, but very, very strongly fighting for that issue, or a few issues, but very strongly fighting for those issues. Well, now in America, you have a lot more of multiple issues that divide people. Of course, the problem is that isn't really true when it comes to the parties, but when it comes to people, yes, it is kind of true. You have people who are like, he wanted to take away gay marriage. He wanted to have a lot more of letting parents decide over their children. You people who want to ban contraception, want to ban abortion, and all these things. And people who want to make it okay for you to shoot someone, basically just make it okay for people to murder someone. To me, that is really odd. America, sort that out, please, because seriously, the fact that you're allowed to just murder someone in your country is incredibly concerning. My country doesn't allow the state to, kill someone. Your country, at least in part, in some places, does. So, in my country, there's very, 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 very few ways to legally murder someone without having like a sneaky way around it. Like, well, we did this, and that led to this, and then they died from that. but not directly. You know, there's very few ways to directly murder someone. In America, no, you can very easily do it. It's like, yeah, well, I mean, the man was coming towards me, and he had a bag in his hand, and yes, it did look like the bag that I didn't have with me. He was coming out of the shops where I had left the bag down, but he felt it looked threatening, so I shot him to the face. Yeah, it was my bag. Yeah, that he was giving me. Yeah. So that was. No, I wasn't actually being threatened. It's just that I felt it. So, Your Honor. Oh, well, there you go. This is a bit of an extreme memory. There you go. That's fine then. No, there we are. Sure. That's you can stand your ground. That's a law in America. Maybe a bit of a a simple explanation, but they're pretty close.
I think it might have been a little bit more polarized back then.
To make an honest and brutal look at how another
I'm just saying the argument could be that it's not more. It wasn't more polarized back then. It was just more explicit and more a bigger divide, more willing to go to violence, or I don't know. But just less issues. So the argument will be, well, if there's less issues, are you not technically less polarized? Because yes, you're very, very divided in those issues. Yes, both sides are willing to go to war over those issues, but there's less of them than now. Now, the conceived of violence is a lot less, but, so I'm just saying.
American Civil War would break out. Who would win? What factors would set it up, and the like? We're here to tackle the $10 trillion question of if the world's hegemony was consumed by the fires of its own division.
I mean, the original Civil War was states by states. And people wouldn't move states if they didn't.
Yo, was he paid $10 million for this video? Let's say.
Sorry.
Of if the world's hegemony was consumed by the fires of its own division.
Yo, was he paid $10 million?
We're here to make an honest and brutal look at how another American Civil War would break out. Who would win? What factors would set it up, and the like? We're here to tackle the $10 trillion question of if the world's hegemony was consumed by the fires of its own division.
Yo, was he paid $10 million?
Well, hegemony. Americans are very, very full of themselves. Sorry, Dolly out there who are full of yourselves.
Video, let's say.
Or also apologies to any Americans out there who are listening who are not full of themselves. That's not. I'm just saying in general.
What
That's
crazy intro, dude. This owns.
Definitely an intro. Boom, boom.
The last time the U.S. broke into civil war, the Union was led by one of the greatest.
So he does know about the
Wait,
Civil War.
ooh, one of the great. Which person are you gonna talk about? Cause
The last time the U.S. broke into civil war, the Union was led by one of the greatest.
So he does know about the Civil War. Why is now the most polarized the nation's ever done?
Commanders in American history.
All right, part one of the society.
wait, you're not gonna mention who it was? Cause I know who it was. I'm just saying, which
Suburb of Philadelphia I lived in as a teenager, which is one of the most important swing areas in all of America, and it often determines who wins the whole presidential election. I went to two different grocery stores, a Whole Foods and a Wegman.
Okay.
Yo, that's one where
Whole Foods is owned by Amazon, isn't it?
where Oz went to get his charcuterie board thing or whatever.
I can really tell the politics of the grocery store within 20 seconds.
Yeah, you can't actually. That's not really true because grocery stores are focused on making money, all of them, big ones anyway. While the people inside them are focused on consuming their stuff. Now you can hear individual people. Someone's like, "Oh, he's fucking," like those people. They're fucking, you can deal with that, right? But
Whole Foods put a massive emphasis on organic, free trade, or vegetarian food.
yeah, that's because Whole Foods that's their brand. That's literally their brand. Their brand is local foods at not really affordable prices. Give your money to Amazon today. That sort of thing. There's a reason why they're successful, which is that that's the brand. They're not like
Foods. The people dress differently in both places, and I actually got.
Oh, this
this is what odd dressing look like. Okay.
This is such an aesthetics focused view of politics. It's very weird. It's not how it works.
I normally do. I could go on like 15 other things where.
Yeah, you can go to.
So, okay, I'm going to say this graph is slightly, I would argue, badly made because presumably this is the right and this is the left, right? But then the Republican colours are this and the Democrat colours are this because the parties kind of shifted beyond each other. Interestingly, they didn't really switch; they just sort of shifted. Like the Republicans were going to just move, and they were moved a little bit left, you know what I mean? So they didn't actually switch; they just shifted. And so to break this down, so teachers exist to empower their students. They would teach them how to change the world in a positive way and engineer them to be better. Teachers exist to empower students to be stable members of society, knowing about their society's ethics and useful skills. Okay, that's the same thing, just worded differently. Art exists to fulfill traditional expectations of beauty. Art exists. Didn't say art exists. That's exists to challenge societal assumptions, purposely offensive to challenge worldviews. Offensive, not really true. Like the whole banana taped to a wall thing is modern art, but it's not offensive. The offensive part of art is the excessive amount of money that's spent in it because for tax purposes. That's the offensive part. So that would be right, right? Don't like this is which is it? You have to be kind of clear. Like I presume this is the right and this is the left, right? But then you should no, not very well made. This is probably being American. It's like, well, when you say right and left, what do you mean? You should say Democrat and Republican, right? Because otherwise, no, that would be the right, that would be the left. Sex and love, kinky. Non-heteronormative, equal between men and women. What? You don't want equality? That's fucking weird, man. When it comes to sex, that's a crime. You know, that's actually a crime. You know, you sound fucking weird, everyone. No, in our society, we don't have equality when it comes to sex. So, no, not like sex. I mean, actually, the actions. Yes, that is rape. Yes, indeed. Consent is. Oh yeah, consent is very important. I don't think. Okay. Vanilla, heteronormative, follows traditional male-female gender roles. Please separate sex and into different categories, because it sounds like your fella's a fucking rapist. Which in this scenario they would be. You can go, well, no, consent in this scenario. Yeah, okay. By the way, non-heteronormative, that's not true. Like, the majority of the left is heteronormative. You know, you have polyamory, which is, you know, you can have polyamory, which is, you know, it's a bit complicated because obviously if you've got more than one, and this is why I think, by the way, that polyamory was looked down on, because it does bring into question your sexuality, which is if you are, we're gonna set aside non-binary for the moment. If you're a man, you're with two women, or you're a woman with two men. The question is, well, okay, that would make you heterosexual, right? But what about those people who are in the relationship? Are they men talk to each other as well? You know, because you know it gets into a bit of complicating there, and that's why I think that was pushed down. But that is probably one of the biggest things that could occur in the left that isn't just like. I mean, because we don't really know we don't really know the rates of people who are gay, because, well, you know, and other members of the LGBTQ plus community, because, you know, it's like, how do you know the members of the community when the community is put down? You know, it's this kind of complicated thing there. You know, it's sort of like similar to like China. We don't really know to a T what the population of China is, because like during the one-child policy, a bunch of children were born. They were just like, yeah, no, shut up. We're not going to put you on the registry, because if we do that, we're not having another child. So, no, you just don't exist. That means it's not official. So, yeah. So this is very odd setup here. Because in general, the non-heteronormative would be inadequate for both of them, in general. Because, sure, in general, people who are on. This is just a fucking terrible graph, by the way. Just really awful. Worship. Religious experiences come through furthering progressive causes for press groups in the public sphere. Comes from traditional religion. What the fuck does that mean? I do not know. Like, you could be a Catholic and be left-wing. In fact, if you're a Catholic, you should be left-wing, because Catholicism originally, at least, thought through the idea of being left-wing, that, you know, the rich man cannot get in heaven, and you shouldn't just, you know, and Rome was bad. That's why, you know, Jesus Christ was executed, at least from a historical point of view. Why most historians who aren't fucking stupid believe that Jesus was executed, which would be that he was fighting against Roman occupation in a not in a violence point of view, but in a words point of view. You know, like saying they shouldn't be given this sort of thing, and not like fighting. You know, what I'm trying to say is it was through words, not violence. But the Romans don't really care. The Romans' policy is you can have your religion, you can have all your things, you can be as weird as you fucking like, but you fucking give us money, and when we want you to do something like you know, give us a bunch of people and all this sort of stuff, and just sort of don't cause any violence. You just keep in line. You can do what you like. This is why the Romans probably were very successful. Is because, you know, countries are just like, okay, I guess we were made by the Romans. Yeah, best option, not the best option, but you know, move on with it. But you know, we're poor now, but like individual people argue, well, we were poor before, and that's sort of the point there, where the Romans were successful in doing that, and that was the thing. So it's very unlikely the Romans would have executed Jesus because he was, you know, advocating for religious differences. No, it would be because of the money. And that's the key thing there. So not only true there. If you're a Catholic, you probably would be, or even a Christian, you probably would be. Although the different religions are just like editing like, yeah, no, remove that part. People would like the wealthy, you know. But you know that's the thing there. Where if you're a Catholic, yeah, you would be campaigning for left wing stuff, you know. Maybe not like full on state ownership of essential services, but you wouldn't be advocating for the capitalist nature of society. So that's not really true. That would just be, you know, when it comes to religion, just different religions differ, but like, you know, some religions are just like, I'm a Catholic, but I think we should change that one there, just because I'd really like it if I was paid with the money by people. So just maybe we should remove the part where we're gonna rich people. Yeah. Clothes. So casual streetwear, bright colors, revealing, unexpected, revealing. In general, no, actually, that's both sides thing actually. Formal, traditional, modest, dark colors. Modest? No, not really. Once again, either side has modest clothing depending on what you mean by modest. Traditional as well. That is once again traditional in an American sense or traditional in the world sense, because traditional in the world sense is very different. As well, traditional is not really true. If it's traditional and then it's like men, then you'd be wearing skirts and you'd be wearing lace tops and you'd be wearing high heels. But then tradition shifts, and thus the question is that traditional? I get the idea that people would say that's traditional, but it's not really true. That's not really what traditional actually means. Otherwise, you're just being like, it's a tradition. How long is the tradition? About a year. It's like, do you have that tradition before? No, we had a completely opposite thing 2 years before. So how long was that tradition going on for? About 10 years. So for 10 years, you'd one tradition. Then you had, just last year, you introduced this one, and now you're calling this traditional, despite the fact that for 10 years you had the other one. Right. It means and food. Traditional Western meat, potatoes, high fat, and vegetarian tofu, health foods, exotic foreign goods. A calf? Low fat? This is really much more like rich and poor. But even then, like if you're very right wing, right, you would have a policy where you would say, you could have a policy that's very nationalistic. You would say, let's ban the McDonald's if you're, let's say, a German, for example. So let's ban the McDonald's because the McDonald's is foreign and we don't want that. But we will still allow the local, still, by the way, a massive food chain, German one, to exist. And maybe we'll prop that one up, but to become a corporate thing. You're not against the corporate side of things. You're against the foreign side of things. And communists would say probably the same sort of thing there. You can have your fast food outlet, but you can't have your fast food outlet making loads of money. And that's an opposite. It's opposite to the end point. But you're both kind of banning McDonald's. You're both banning McDonald's, but for completely different reasons. And the situation after you ban McDonald's is also completely different. After McDonald's is banned in the fascist Germany, you see the McDonald's is replaced by some other corporation that's just German focused. Now that doesn't mean really it is German, it just means it's supposedly German. Well, in the communist world, there's no other McDonald's, no other corporations. It's just the fast food still exists there. So that's not really true. Also, no, the majority of the people on the left are not like vegetarian. I wouldn't say.
If you go to like an expensive food store like Whole Foods,
I
then
wouldn't say
you look
that's
poor.
true.
Rich people will potentially look down on you. That's got nothing.
Sorry.
Store like Whole Foods, and you maybe look poor. Rich people, you can go to if you go to like an expensive food store like Whole Foods, and you maybe look poor. Rich people will potentially look down on you. That's got nothing to do with the political Democrat Republican divide. Future Freda here. That's exclusively got to do with rich people kind of being assholes and being elitist sometimes. That's a class thing. The right and left ways of life. Oh, let's go. Food, vegetarian, tofu, health foods, exotic foreign goods. I don't even know what that is. Low fat, traditional Western meats, potatoes, high fats. You didn't have to do the.
I mean, like. Yeah, once again, traditional Western is well, like you're talking about America then.
The right wingers like that, dude. Casual streetwear, bright colors revealing unexpected. What's the clothing unexpected? Formal, traditional, modest, dark colors. If you're a suit, you vote Republican. Religious experience comes through furthering progressive causes for oppressed groups and public. What? So wait, he's saying like fighting for like oppressed people's rights is like a religion? Comes from traditional. What is this? Sex and.
To be fair, it is Catholicism supposedly. It's supposed to be about doing that. It's just that that's not what's practiced. It's what people do with their religion, and of course, the problem with saying what people do with their religion is kind of giving an okay to fascists. Like, no, that's not your religion. Fuck off. Don't come out here saying you're a Catholic. You're not a Catholic if you're a right winger. You just it'll be like a Protestant. Fuck off. Don't come around saying you're a Catholic. You're not. You change around your religion to go like, we'll shut up about that bit now. No, what we'll do is we'll just translate it to be different in the English version. There you go. Catholic, that's it. No, you're not. You just, anyway.
Love, kinky and non-heteronormative, equal between men and women. Consent is very important, as opposed to the right wing in which.
Yeah, consent is like, no.
Consent does not matter, and hi, Future Freda here. I think you know what I'm about to say. I think you know what the opposite of consent is. We don't have to mention it. Like, what? This is just. I
did.
Charitable to both sides. This is like he's. I don't get what's going on here. Exists to challenge social assumptions.
That's my point. Like, it's very weird if you're right to go, the left, consent is always important to them. Like, okay, that is fucking weird, man. Are you saying that you think all right wingers, or are you projecting your own beliefs? I mean, I don't mean like your own beliefs about other people. I mean your own beliefs about yourself. I'm going, no, we're all like that, are we? This,
Art. That's the history of art. I don't art historical tradition. No, it doesn't on the right wing either. Art, the point of art is to challenge social assumptions, to move the medium forwards. Purposely offensive to challenge worldviews doesn't have to be. That's not necessarily left value either. Teachers exist to empower their students. That doesn't seem bad. They'll teach them how to change the world in a positive way and engineer them to be better people. That doesn't seem bad either. Teaching exists to prepare students to be stable members of society, knowing about their society's ethics and how are these incompatible? Are these not the same thing? I don't get it.
We're at the point where conservatives and progressives talk, dress, worship, teach, eat, love, and literally about everything else differently.
No, literally no. These not true. They intermingle, as I said. The conservative, the communists and the fascists have, generally speaking, when it comes to the food they eat, the same endpoint. Even in fact, the same endpoint as to the point I'm making is that at the end of the day, even though they are going to come to drastically different methods of getting the same food, they're going to be the same food. So that's not really true. That's not really true. You know, you'll have maybe business people who work in like the funeral industry are unlikely to wear really bright clothing, but and revealing is just kind of a stereotype that but it occurs more from Republicans anyway. And of a particular type. Then you have, when I say Republicans, I do mean American Republicans, not in general definition Republicans. Which, by the way, America, you really sound weird when you have your names. Like Republicans are they should be left wing too, at least the Democrats. They shouldn't be right wing anyway. These things are not really true either. Like for traditional religion, that is traditional religion. Traditional religion is against that. So that's not true. By the way, I'm not saying that they aren't divided in this. I'm just saying like pretty much all of this is just bullshit.
This is a very weird post-hoc rationalization. I don't think this is the case. If you go to like any sort of rural town in America, I haven't been to a rural town. I'm sorry if I'm talking out my ass. If you go to any rural town in America, I think you'd find their differences.
It is, yeah. Yeah, it's okay.
Just that, like the differences are largely overstated. People are people and are probably more similar than you think.
It's so strange to go from Kansas City to Boston and see that people's politics are everywhere to see. I was driving across Pennsylvania to Ohio.
Wow, you do sound like it.
Weeks ago, and I saw that 5 different Trump signs along the highway.
He's right about this. This is incredibly weird coming from a Norwegian perspective. Having like your personality, because some people in America, and this is obviously it is
USA, God, pro-life. Are you pro-life or are you just anti-abortion? Guns. So you're anti-life then. Coal. Once again, anti-life then. Oil, anti-life. No socialism. So once again, anti-life. So. If you want oil and coal for the rest of eternity, you're gonna have to like mine space, so not USA. God was also not USA focused, and guns are, yeah.
It's true. Some people in America, they make politics their personality in that way, and they sort of broadcast it to the entire world, like this trailer here. It's very strange from a European or at least Norwegian perspective.
With even one burned to the grass, alongside countless
Heavens.
signs telling you'll define God that abortion is wrong. Likewise, I'm in Los Angeles.
Yeah, so both of these things, as I'm assuming he's going to address, are
Which side should you be on?
not necessarily indicative of the politics of the people who live there or indicative of their values, but largely shape their values and shape their politics because these things are paid for by interest groups, special interest groups. Like this one paid for by Black Lives or people for Black Lives. That's just one group. That is not necessarily the actual movement. I don't see like anything like paid for whatever on this one, but I mean they all are. Those billboards aren't paid for by the movement, and social justice, of course, is like.
Because it's kind of fucking pointless. It's waste money on that. I mean, I'm just saying, some people do, but I've seen ads on YouTube before. It's just please. I'm not saying I disagree with your message. I'm just saying, just don't waste your money. I'm not even saying that. Oh, don't waste your money. I'm not gonna believe you. I'm not gonna fucking listen to you. I'm saying, don't waste your money because I already know what you have to say, and I may well agree with you.
But it is or a political current rather. Wait, hold on. Let me see. He was about to say something about Disney.
Billboard about encouraging Latinx stories from Disney.
What?
From Disney. Okay, so I'm assuming it's a Disney property then. So it's it's a Disney ad. They're using social justice to market their product. It's rainbow capitalism.
All of this is so shockingly put into perspective that in living memory, or back in the 40s and 50s, political polarization was basically absent from America.
That's not a good thing, guys. That's not a good thing. You shouldn't be like, well, we only have one party here. Does this feel a bit like North Korea? What's North Korea? Oh, don't you worry. We're gonna make a nation a complete fucking shithole in the future. My. Just like it's not a good thing to not have anything else. Like no. In this country, we have no polarization. We all agree. On what? Oh, sorry. We all agree. Well, no. Most of us agree that people of color should be okay. That's Of course, they wouldn't say people of color in the 40s, would they?
40s and 50s, black people did not have equal rights to white people.
Right? Yeah, see? It's like, yeah. If they would have said people of color, they wouldn't have said black, they would have said fucking more, Oh, yeah, you probably would have added an S onto the word black.
What are you talking about? Like, does this man not know what...
To be fair, though, there was a lot less polarization, amongst white people. That's not a good thing. It's like, yes, we all thought, what were our ancestors thinking? We should have kept the slavery around. We can't introduce it now, though. Fucking crap. Jesus, we all agree on this, all the white people. Right, that's not a good thing, though. You're describing a bad thing. A very, very, very bad thing that America should be ashamed of. Because seeing as you are like... Is America the most recent country in the world to outlaw slavery? Is it? In the Western world? By the way, when I say outlaw slavery, I mean within its own nation. Because obviously, all the Western countries use slavery. They just use it indirectly through China.
But Jim Crow is? It wasn't until 1954 when schools were desegregated. What is he talking about?
Yeah.
Of course, things are polarized in the 40s. There was a rally in Madison Square Garden for a pro-German, fascist group, or like a pro-fascist group. Before then, you had stuff in the 1920s, like the Battle of Blair Mountain.
I mean, yeah, the Brits and the Americans agreed with Nazi Germany until Nazi Germany went, oh no, did you not realize we're including you in our policies? Like when we say we're superior, we're including you. We're not including you in our spirit. No, we're over you guys. So you too we push down. Like, oh fuck. Yeah, we probably should have seen that coming. But of course, the problem with that is that, well, the Americans and the English were very, 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 very similar to the Nazis. You know, in ideology. So the difference being who was in charge.
Pinkertons, or rather, I believe it was National Guard, maybe Pinkertons, like private security and stuff, were hired by a coal mining company in order to fight the workers who were striking in literal trench warfare on U.S. soil. It is the first time bombs have been dropped on U.S. soil. It was dropped by an airplane on striking workers on behalf of a private company. I think that's polarized.
A government report in 1949 said Americans actually needed more political polarization, since the Republicans and Democrats didn't give the voters any real choices, really standing for the same things.
Hello, Future Freddy here again. This hasn't changed. Europeans consider your country to have a one-party system, essentially. You have a choice between one right-wing liberal party and another right-wing liberal party.
If anything, the political parties at the time stood...
To be fair, the Republicans have moved more right-wing, so at this point they are different. Still a two-party state, though. It's like, you can vote for almost fascist, or you can vote for right-wing. So, which one will you go for? Neither. Okay, spoiled vote then. No, I want to vote for a different party. Yeah, spoiled vote then. They're not getting in. You know. By the way, one thing in American politics currently, there are only two non-Democrat / Republican candidates, and even they are kind of like, one of them is just. They're basically not Republican, but you know, not in actual name. Same with judges. No judge is non-Democrat. Sorry, no judge. Not that there are people in the Supreme Court. There are no judges that are not Democrat or Republican. So you know, pretty similar in a way. Divided, but only since there are two parties. But also, they're both in one area. You know, if they meet in the middle, it's not what people want. I don't mean like neither side is happy. I mean, good chunk of people are left to the Democrats, which is not what the Democrats do. Democrats if they meet in the middle, they, you know, very people are happy.
Stood for ethnic and religious things rather than actual
ethnic. Jesus.
Policies.
But you can't legislate based on ethnic or religious interests. Those are still policies. If they're legislated, they are policy.
However, we all know that America is a divided country now, but can things really get as bad as a civil war?
That doesn't seem too divided.
We're in a modern civilized country. Will we really degrade towards killing our own people with guns, missiles, and axes?
Yes.
Freddy here again. That's happening right now. That's not something in the future. That's happening right now. Cops do it. People do it who are parts of militias and so on and so forth. People run each other over at protests because it was made illegal for some reason. This is happening now. That's not something in the future.
Yeah.
Learning computer science on Brilliant.org means going beyond code to explore concepts like how...
The Brilliant Scam. And the Brilliant Historian. Yeah.
And has anything like this happened before?
Yes, in the 1860s.
Yeah.
While I did react to the next part of the video, it is just so incredibly boring. It's all about models and cycles of history and these strange ideas that I kind of consider to be astrology for historians. So I'm going to cut that out and cut the good stuff. Weird. Okay. This seems like astrology for economists.
Then the Spengler-Amory ones stick to...
Yeah, economists are... Anyway. Citizens go through winter summers, falls, and summers in which civilization is founded in a certain religion and region and religion, as a certain civilians succeeds as religion succeeds and time passes, it loses velocity and dies. Oh, so based off Spengler goes into an individual civilizations with books and tracking Greek and Roman, Indian, Chinese, and Western civilizations. They read 3 or 4 different cycles of across history that show incredibly shocking parallels. Cycles of similarities are between the ancient Greeks and Europeans, the Romans and the Americans, and the Turks and the Narrans, Prussians, and the Jews and the Arabs. Circle quickly civilizations go through a distinct series of phases that they start with certain principles, and then as the civilizations reach them and unify, they lose their ability to innovate and become
2,500. For each of these theories, I'm having a text wall to explain their intricacies.
I don't care about this like astrology bullshit. Let's talk about the actual history. Come on.
Yeah, please. I know I've done this, but like, can YouTubers keep the whole do your own work to a minimum? Like, you know, it's a YouTube video. You can go off and say, oh, you know, this is a simplified version. If you want to be more, if you want to get a better look at it, look here. But don't present it as a definitive, and then go, oh, read this. At least if you're gonna say it's definitive, just ignore all the other things. You know, at least then, yeah, sure, viewers are kind of they're wrong. You know, they're not getting the definitive, you know, answer, but at least they think they are. And this is like fuck off and read something else, boyo. There you go. There's a definitive story. There's a definitive understanding of it. You read it. It's like I remember when I was in school, and this is like, you know, a longer time ago. I remember I was in the class and like, in order to do well in your exam, you'll need to do more than just you know, you can just come to this class and do your homework and read all this stuff. And you're going, okay, but that's what I'm paying. That's not what I'm paying, but that's what the government is paying, and that's what I'm coming here for, to be thought. Why do I have to do that then? Why wouldn't I just do that? It's much more simpler. I was not homeschooled, so I had travel times. I needed to go to the this local school and all that sort of stuff. So why exactly would I spend all that time going to all these classes and then also all the time reading the books and not just read the books? Why exactly are you providing if you're just saying, read this? Why are you providing as a YouTube video just like, read this, just go ahead, read that. My YouTube video is wonderful because I just told people to read something. Okay, then it's just a fucking reading list. Don't.
Why people fight wars, okay?
The ocean of the incentive structures created by the physical and ideological world around us. In the same way that those fish are mostly water that came from the sea around them, it's difficult for us to see how our environments created us and how we act. The Americans of today
There's a theoretical tradition for this, for seeing how our environments interact with us and how they shape us. It's called materialist analysis.
want to destroy white men from curriculum. Their descendants.
What? What?
Interact with us and how they shape us. It's called materialist analysis. A theoretical
For us to see how our environments created us and how we act. The Americans of today
there's a theoretical tradition for this, for seeing how our environments interact with us and how they shape us. It's called materialist analysis.
So it's in the Americans of today.
want to destroy white men from curriculum. Their descendants of the men
Wow.
who fought on the beaches of Normandy within living memory.
Wow.
Sorry, what?
For us
Wait, what?
to see
Wow.
how our environments created us and how we act. The Americans of today who want to destroy white men from curriculum. Their descendants
So let's stop there. Yeah, that's destroy white men from curriculum. Sorry, destroy white men from curriculum. That's what we're doing. They're removing white life. No. Remember that politician, which was the one that was like, when Roe v. Wade was pushed off. And they're like, this is a victory for white life. Oh my fucking god, you're a Nazi at that point, basically. That's woo. At least the fascists can go, no, we don't want to kill them. We just want to push them off into the sea where they die. So they still kill them, No, you're like, no. Like, what the fuck?
Citation needed? Who's saying this? Like, who wants to destroy white men from curriculums?
of the men who fought on the beaches of Normandy within living memory. However, the way our society
Beats in Normandy. No,
is set up incentivizes Americans to hate each other. In order to understand
True, he's correct.
how America could have a civil war, we have to see the incentives of what pushes Americans to feel desperate enough to turn on the
Okay.
people. The answer I'm going to give is that Americans
Desperate is not really the right word. See, desperate isn't the right word there, because when you say desperate, you're implying that they can't do it in a different way, but that's not really true. You can have a society like, what I'm trying to say is, if you have a civil war, the argument is, well, if you actually are in different geographic locations, just separate. Just divide the country. No problem. There you go. If you've got different political persuasions, divide the country. Now, obviously, that tends to lead to civil wars. That's actually what leads to civil wars, because people are like, I actually don't agree with the side I'm on. And then other people on the side are like, I don't agree with the side I am on. But this is my homeland. This is where I'm from. So I'm not moving. I'm not going over there. I'm going over that country. And because the country are brand new, or at least, pretty new, it creates this kind of conflict where people are not willing to move, and they more just want the other land. They're like, I think we should have that land then. And that's a problem. I've country that has had a civil war.
they live poor and sad lives, which
Okay.
makes them feel the need to turn to violence for any hope of changing anything.
Okay.
It might sound strange from historic standards, where
It's not really.
No, it doesn't. That's how most of these things happen.
to see populations starve or in complete poverty, but pain is pain, and thus still painful. And America today has serious problems. As I said more clearly in this video, normal Americans have seen their standards of living climb precipitously over the last 50 years, as wages have stayed
Oh, he's doing the thing I mentioned. He's doing materialist analysis.
Okay, so that's for all sides, though, isn't it?
the cost of living has gone up. Just look at The Simpsons or stuff like John Hughes movies,
Never mind. Bro, what the fuck? Why Simpsons?
where working class characters with multiple children own their homes and go on vacation as norms in the 1980s, which is
Oh.
unimaginable today even for young upper middle class people. As I described in these videos as well.
Imagine a burger.
A historian explains, being Gen Z. Why are people unhappy in the modern world? What do you think?
Well, the collapses in social communities and amounts of sex among Americans create a
Wait,
restless...
what's that? What?
Imagine a burger.
As I described in these videos as well, the collapses in social communities and amounts of sex among Americans
Amounts of sex.
create a restless, angry, and crazy population.
Crazy is. You did not use that. Also,
Humans are by nature sexual and social beings.
no, they're not. Fuck off, man.
Once you remove the ability
No, they're
to
not.
have children, which almost no young people can,
You are where you're still able to have children. It's just, you can't keep them. Except, of course, in America, where they charge you to have a child.
afford today,
That's.
interrelationships
I guess. Okay, clarification. It's kind of fair in America. It's just,
with social communities.
But you don't have to have. So he's saying because people aren't having sex, they're going crazy. But you don't have to have children to have sex.
Yeah. Also, you don't have to fucking have sex, you little weirdo.
They do teach about. Like, they do have sex education in the US, right? You have pills and you have condoms. There are things.
No, a lot of places in the US it's like, no, don't have sex before marriage. Boom. That's it. Yep. Just don't have it before marriage, you'll go to hell. You're actually disgusting human if you have it before marriage. Of course, what happens if you go to despise the person you're with when you're married? Under certain sexual relations, you can divorce, which is, to me, a little bit odd. I don't think those things are really, you can't really have those two things together, can you? You can't be like, well, no, the marriage is really important. You couldn't have sex before marriage because it's sacred. And then also, actually, we do allow divorce, yes. Okay, but that kind of defeats your point, though, doesn't it? Because like, what if I just kept getting married, divorced, married, divorced, married, divorced, married, divorced? Like, if I kept getting snap married, you don't get like married. Like, if I just met someone tomorrow, married them, and then like and then divorced the next day, boom. Technically, I didn't have it before marriage. But most religions would say no, that's not okay. But it's just me. It's a bit of a contradiction when it comes to Americans, which is like they have this weird thing about marriage, but also they allow divorce. So I'm not saying that they shouldn't allow divorce. I'm saying you shouldn't have an abstinence before marriage thing and also allow divorce. It's one or the other. You have to either be bonded as two human beings for life or else not. You can go, well, you're bonded until you divorce, but not before getting married. So why the fuck that makes sense? I don't know.
Things you can do to not have children. You also don't necessarily even need those things.
Societies lose their way to send to barbarism and tribalism. These factors.
That's weird. Why is it that like people? Why are you jumping to people who aren't fucking enough so they become barbarians?
Like you do realize some people just don't like to have intercourse with other people. Do you comprehend that? Also, you realize that a lot of sexual activity in recent American history, not in just general American history, has been, how should I put this, not very willing from one party in like a good chunk of heterosexual relationships for American history. The person who was viewed as the woman wouldn't, in many cases, have been very willing to have performed the actions. The other party would have requested it, and then that would have occurred. So I would argue the decrease in the rates, and by the way, that's not even technically reliable, of sexual activity. Well, is that not better in a way? Because it shows that there's probably a decrease in the amount of rape. I would say rape, I mean like rape where it's institutionalized, where it's
most heavily concentrated among young men, for the demographic you least want to piss off. In many ways, the fate of a country depends on how it
Bro, don't piss off the young men. It's scary. They're scary.
treats its young men, who with their boundless testosterone and energy push forwards in any direction they can. An excess
Wow, that makes it seem like fucking like really pathetic.
of young men must either push outwards as a team or else to kill itself.
What?
The reason most societies marry couples off at age
This is weird.
15 in arranged marriages is to make oral
No, this is a very weird video. I'd say this is very weird. Another one I'm reacting to, the one that we are reacting to. Population facts and course of history. How nations with young drive. The young drive the future. 1,800 France and what the? Okay, it's okay. It's points and you're giving the years. Okay, 1800 France, Britain, industrialization and the Napoleonic Wars. Yeah, because they killed in France. They killed the royal family. That's really true in Britain. They should separate 2 points. The Napoleonic Wars occurred because France continued its empire even when they became a republic. 1800 to 1900, the Anglo-Saxon countries colonialism. No, they still had colonialism. What the fuck? No. Okay. It's continued colonialism. They didn't invent colonialism in the 1800s, and now Anglo-Saxon countries didn't begin colonialism in the 1800s. They began it many years before. So no, that's not true. 1900, Europe and the scramble for Africa and World War II. Okay, well, okay, that's very weird. 1920, Germany, Japan, and Russia, World War II. What? Russia? Oh, sorry. World War II in 1920. That's not when World War II started though. It's also not even when World War II was set in motion. Arguably. 1950s Western the boom and the winning Cold War. No, the Cold War wasn't really won actually. They didn't win the Cold War. No. East Asia, the tiger economies. Middle East, yeah, I don't know what this is.
also to kill itself. The reason most societies marry couples off at age 15 in arranged marriages is to make sure young men become sexually satisfied and stakeholders in society.
That's rape, man. That's rape. You're just arguing for institutionalized rape. Like, what the fuck?
What the fuck? I thought I was watching a video about the second American Civil War. Not
Due to how dating apps work, young men today are having less sex, they make less money than young
what
women.
the fuck?
Is this fella incel? Not the fella reacting to, the other person, the person we're reacting to, Is this person incel? They sound like one, Okay, you realize dating apps occur that way because women are harassed on dating apps. They just go, okay, I'm not, nah,
Masculinity is toxic, and they are shown no option by
What?
society either towards manliness, less money than young
What
women.
the fuck, dude?
Their masculinity is toxic.
Yeah, it is toxic to be a rapist. That is, I would define that as toxic. Yes, I'm sorry if you don't think that's toxic, but personally, I do think it is toxic to be a rapist. I do think you shouldn't be allowed to do that. To be honest. Also, what the fuck is with this? Male attractiveness level, female will versus what? Male attractiveness level, females will versus female attractiveness. oh, this is the whole thing of if you're a woman, you meet the traditional definition of beauty, that that more men will be attracted to you than a man who meets the traditional male attractiveness. Because interestingly, because the Western world is very, very male centric, it means that the man actually presents as weirdly. By the way, I'm not being homophobic here, to clear. I would argue potentially rooted in male to male attraction. This idea of the muscular man, this is the fella, the ideal body type, is actually not an invention of women. It's an invention of other men to reach to, which isn't actually statistically necessarily true. It's an interesting to bring up. I'm not sure that's what they are bringing up. A lot of graphs are pretty bad. I remember I read it to a right-wing libertarian, and they made a few points about like the media, and they were like talking about how some most media is on like the left, and that's not the point. The point is that disproportionately there's loads of media on the right that is funded by people, and that wouldn't make sense to fund it unless it was for political reasons, while media on the left exists because that's where most people are. So it was very weird. And one of the points they brought up was a graph, and it's like, that's a terrible graph. It was mostly covered by like the video parts. I'm not sure that that's on them, but basically it was a very bad looking graph. This one is not great.
And they are shown no option by society either towards manliness and honor or a place in society. I couldn't have invented better conditions for an angry population to make perfect army.
I mean,
This guy, by the way, works for the FBI.
Also, unlike other countries, the U.S. does have a lot of young men, with the
Unlike other countries.
largest young population in any developed nation,
yeah.
and the lowest average age in any developed nation. If young men are the top demographic
What?
for civil wars, the other is, as
I thought you said people weren't having sex.
Church calls them, elite aspirants. These are the people like entrepreneurs, officers in the army, doctors, academics, and other categories of upper middle class or upper class people who are trying to gain outsized power and influence.
Sorry, what?
Largest young population in any developed nation, and the lowest average age
Okay.
in any developed nation. If young men are the top demographic for civil wars, the other is, as he calls them, elite aspirants. These are the people like entrepreneurs, officers in the army, doctors, academics, and other categories.
Entrepreneurs in America, actually, by the way, way overplays entrepreneurs. Entrepreneurs are supposed to be people who come up with an idea. You're not an entrepreneur if you're just another person in the business. Then you're not really an entrepreneur, are you? It's like, it's another person. Another McDonald's. Are you not an entrepreneur, or are you just basically just an entrepreneur in a way? Not even an entrepreneur. You're not even an entrepreneur. You're just a business person.
Of upper middle class or upper class people who are trying to gain outsized power and influence
We have to abolish lawyers, or we will have a civil war.
in society. In an era of good wages, the social class is generally satisfied, thus creating low political stress. Automation, globalization, immigration, about 5 other things that push down wages. Getting a college degree or even a PhD won't guarantee a good life.
He's correct. These things are.
Specifically in America, though, one of the issues with America is that if you have your college degree, you can actually earn less, technically, than the person who does go to college, because you earn more, but also the person who goes to college didn't spend, $20,000 a year on going to college. So, thus, that person there, sure, they're down like 90 grand over the course of their life, but also they're up 90 grand because they didn't spend all of it when they were in college, when they didn't go to college. So that means that in that case, you'd go, okay, that person there who didn't spend the money, that person, if they were able to get that money out in loans, they could have gotten things like maybe a down payment on a house, all these things. These are things you can do where you begin to move through the social ladder by just virtue of not spending much money when you're really young.
Are bad,
And
fucked up, and they have to be addressed.
Probably won't make that money back.
Most cases will lead to a life of soul-crushing corporate
Sorry.
work. In all honesty,
Yes, fucked up, and they have to be addressed.
even an
Sorry.
Ivy League degree in most cases will lead to a life of soul-crushing corporate work.
Yeah.
In all honesty, out of
Yes.
my personal experience, the only people who have good careers today are those who are self-employed like CEOs, freelancers, or influencers, since they
CEOs not self-employed. They're just not. Business owners are self-employed. CEOs are not.
aren't part of the problem of labor being so cheap today.
Sorry,
Are
what?
those who are self-employed like CEOs, freelancers, or influencers, since they aren't part of the
But they are. If you're a CEO and you want. No, this is not true. CEOs, okay. CEOs,
the only people who have good careers today are those who are self-employed like CEOs.
okay. CEOs are not self-employed. They also are part of the problem because CEOs are directly. If you don't reduce labor costs, I'm not saying you're a bad CEO, but you actually are a bad business person from a business perspective because you should reduce labor costs. You should, as a business, makes sense. Obviously, you shouldn't reduce labor costs too much that your workers are unable to eat, so that they're really tired on the job, and that way they fall down and collapse almost dead. You shouldn't do that because that obviously reduces efficiency. You should have this sort of perfect medium workers enough so they have enough energy so they can do the job to most efficiency. And you've got this very complicated relationship here because the problem with a CEO at a very high level company is that the CEO doesn't even do that; they just hire people out to do that. But that's the key thing. The CEO has to make sure that occurs. That workers are paid just enough that we have enough efficiency. And if we pay them a little bit more, will their efficiency grow a little bit up? It may do, but will we gain enough money from that? No. Okay, we're going to keep it wages at that.
freelancers or influencers, since they
Freelancers are also self-employed, but they do contribute to the level. Because if I'm doing a job, right, where I get paid a wage, and then the corporation I'm working for says, and what we're going to do actually now is we're going to remove you, and we're just going to hire freelancers from now on. But freelancers, by offering cheaper labor, are going to, per job at least, are going to destabilize the job market.
aren't part of the problem of labor being so cheap today.
Sorry.
Are those who are self-employed like CEOs, freelancers, or influencers.
Influencers do actually affect the market because influencers are ad companies, basically. Influencers act like ad corporations. They act like TV networks. They're a media machine that pumps out content and attaches ads to it. Basically, they become like, if there's some nutrition supplements that influencer promotes, well, that's that company promoting that product. That company that promote that product rather than make the product better or pay the workers better or whatever it may be, thus increase the quality, and the product gets more successful. That product then, of course, influencers can actually make labor prices go down or up depending on the scenario. So just make the product go down because the cost of labor go down because workers are forsaken for the fact that, well, we can just pay an influencer this money that we save on paying you to promote the product, and that way we'll just get instant sales. Also, this means that you can even just like not produce the product, just do sort of a scam, just like in Logan Paul style, we're just like, yeah, it's coming. Oh, I was caught out. Okay, I'll pay you back money. I won't actually pay you back money. I'll just say, well, and that's the thing there where like you have that thing there. Influencers can also cause the price of labor to go up because if they make one company very successful by advertising it over another company, that company, if one company is like, we want to pay workers more, but we don't have money yet. And the other company's like, no, we're not going to pay workers anymore. Then, of course, if they promote company A or the company B, the company A is able to successfully overtake company B in sales and thus can benefit from things like economies of scale, not from workers, or maybe from workers by accessing some of the workers. And then, if they benefit from economies of scale, possibly by accessing workers, but also from machinery and so that they can then push those cost savings not only to consumers, reducing prices, to gaining a better market share, but also give some of that money to the workers. So that's not really true.
Since they aren't part of the problem of labor being so cheap today.
Oh my god, he's almost understanding it. The people who
They share. Sorry, but that's not true. So
tend to have fulfilling and good lives are the ones who work for themselves, who perhaps own the means of their production.
Yeah. But no, but it isn't even true if you go beyond, like, because CEOs don't even own the means of production. CEOs are chief executive officers. They're just the head of the company. And even if they're not the head of the company, the board is actually the head of the company, really, in a sense.
People often ask me why social justice, a movement built around helping the downtrodden, is so concentrated
People often ask you.
among the upper middle classes.
Really shouldn't ask you. Also, it's not.
Do we have a citation on this? Or is this like an aesthetic observation?
It's not.
The answer is that it's built around
We believe Black Lives Matter. No human is illegal. Love is love. Human rights are human rights. Science is real. Water is life. Injustice anyway is correct. Just everywhere.
elite aspirants who want to use social justice as a technique to get their social category higher social status.
I don't think this is what's happening here. Beyond, for example, actually the politicians of the Democratic Party who only sort of tap into the concerns of these actual protesters and then never actually follow through with giving them what these protesters want. That is a genuine read on the situation in terms of what the liberal part of the American political sphere does and their strategies. You also see this on the right wing as well, where they tap into their cultural concerns or their issues of the culture war. For example, abortion, which some very vocal people, like these very vocal people, campaigned heavily for the overturning of Roe v. Wade, even though, by all accounts, abortion being legal within sensible boundaries is actually very popular on the right as it is on the left. Future Freddy here again.
Yeah, this is true. The majority of states that try and ban abortion with a vote get shut down to don't win. All the states that put abortion on the ballot and asked voters, do you want to ban abortion, failed. The only states currently that have abortion bans are states that didn't do it democratically. That says something, isn't it?
Just to clarify, the majority of Republicans do not support legal abortion. However,
not of Republican voters do.
39%, I believe, of Republican voters believe that abortion should be legal.
No, that's not true. Sorry. The majority of Republicans, actually do support certain, allowances of abortion.
I've spoken in these videos about how the political divide in today's America is largely that between the college-educated and the non-college.
Well, sorry, that depends. I'm not quite sure when it comes to like Texas and Florida, because of the countries where it's kind of our country in a way. There's the states where, they didn't do it democratically, so we don't know.
That's not necessarily true. Let's read. Why American politics boil down to college educators and non-college educated economy. The left wants college-educated government workers to manage the economy. Meanwhile, the right wants to give as much freedom to non-college-based business.
No.
Future Fed.
Not really true. The right wants to give freedom to mostly college-based business people. This doesn't mean the college helped them. It just means that they have a college degree.
But once again, I do have to mention here, when I was first taking my bachelor's degree, which is many years ago now, during a class, we had someone, it was right about, I think actually Trump had just been elected, and there was a discussion about it, and someone mentioned, they asked the professor, aren't Trump voters just uneducated? And the professor got kind of mad, because he thought that this sort of attitude was elitist, calling Trump voters uneducated.
Well, no, I mean, there's a portion of Trump voters who are uneducated, but there's one of the things, like, when, in general, when it comes to, hard right conservatism, economically speaking, not socially speaking. Socially speaking, it's very different, but economically speaking, if you are conservative, you are either a person who benefits from that, or you're stupid. And this is just self-preservation policy. And it's just the fact, and when I say you're stupid, I don't mean you're uneducated, by the way. I mean, you're stupid, Like, I'm someone who has had an education in business. I've had an education in economics. I have a, basic enough education in accounting, but it's not very good. I'll give you that. It's not very good education in accounting, sorry. But the point is, I have that education. But if I am arguing that, oh no, the balance on your business, your sorry, your business balance account is this number. It's like, no, it's not. It's not that number. That's not true. Just because of an education, I have an education in accounting, but that's a very bad. I would admit to the fact that I'm not a good accountant. So if I say, oh look, I have an accounting somewhat sort of a education, okay, but you're wrong. I'd still be stupid at accounting. So just because someone is educated does not mean they're smart. That's why it's a bit different. So uneducated is different from stupid, in my opinion. Because uneducated means you're ignorant. Stupid means you're educated, but you just can't grasp it.
And it sort of distracted from the actual material issues in the United States that led to Trump's election win. Issues that the Democrats did not take seriously enough. And then, of course, you have the fact that the Democrats funded Trump's campaign, which is very interesting and funny. What?
Yeah, well, they always fund the campaign that they think will be the least likely to succeed against them, which does tend to lead to polarization, and probably is the reason why Republicans have moved to the right, because in general, moving to the right is not really a great idea from a political point of view, because it means that voters are relatively easy to swing, away from that, because they're not even though they're not swing voters, they can swing against you by just being, easy enough to shift away, and also the fact that if you make it so that, like, oh, there's a gay person in this film, no, then it can lead to problems where if you have any liberal social things with you, or even suspected to, it can collapse your political career. It's like, what the fuck? What do you mean it seemed gay that I hugged my friend? What the fuck do you mean by that? That sort of thing. It's like, okay, but no, but still doesn't matter, because you've driven this hyper thing. No, damn LGBTQ. No, it won't allow them in our government. And then you have this thing where you have political careers that collapse, even on the right, where people are identified as, against fascism, even though not necessarily, and they're pushed out. So this cares. And this can cause a problem when the party themselves stick by candidates. You see George Santos. George Santos is a very dangerous person to stick by to. If they didn't vote him out. That's a problem, because people then see that as, well, do you support him? Do you support him? Because he's not your ideal Republican.
I don't think that's true for either of them, though. Social morality, the left wants college professors and various departments to determine social moral codes, while the right wants traditional religious figures to do that.
Yeah, so no.
Do the right want, like, the Pope to tell them what to do, or like the priest to tell them, like, what their moral, like, what to do, what to believe?
Some of them do, evangelicals do.
Either. Don't the right value, like, individual liberty and shit? Defund the police. The left supports replacing non-college educated policemen with college-educated social workers.
No.
The left supports replacing non-college educated policemen with college-educated social workers in certain situations where non-college educated policemen should not be forced to do the jobs they were not qualified to do. Yes.
Yeah.
I think that's accurate.
Like if someone is has various different issues, you don't need a police person, because the police are not gonna be the best suited to that. They also may very well make the problem worse.
You shouldn't send a cop who's got, like, no expertise with dealing with someone who's like suicidal, for example, to try to help them. Maybe they could be in, like, a supporting role in case that person's dangerous, to protect someone who's an actual expert on this, who knows how to help these people. It's like, you don't send an ambulance to deal with a fire. You send firemen, right? You're here once again. You probably should send the ambulance as well. I think it might be helpful. So it's all about actually, like, making these systems make sense.
But you don't send the ambulance to deal with the fire. You send the ambulance to deal with people who might be hurt by the fire. Even if there aren't people, you don't know. The fire could spread.
Addressing the actual needs of people with the people who are fit to do so. We shouldn't be using police as, like, a catch-all for everything, like every problem you have. Generally speaking, when that's been done in history, it hasn't gone well. The left prefers using college-educated diplomats for international affairs and wars, while the right prefers...
That's probably a good idea. I'm not college-educated, but just generally educated. It's like, I don't know about this country, but I'm going to play a really racist song that is about killing these people in this country. I'm going to mutter it under my breath. Oh, I'm actually from a college-educated place, and my name is Boris Johnson. That's what Boris Johnson did. I wonder if that might have caused some fucking tensions, Imagine singing a colonialist song in the nation when you're not, like, just like, what the fuck is this? Is this really our representative? That to me is highly, highly concerning. But that point is, Boris Johnson is college educated. So it's not college educated, it's just general educated. Because, as I say, college educated does not mean you're good at your job. Okay, it doesn't mean you're wise. It doesn't mean you're smart. It just means you have a college education. You have a little stamp, a little certificate that says, I went to this college and I passed some examinations. Okay, were the examinations good? Were they helpful or what? Like, as I said about the whole thing, but I have similar qualifications when it comes to, accounting. They're low level, but I wouldn't say I'm a good accountant. I wouldn't say that. I would definitely, if someone wanted me to be their accountant, I'm going, no, you're bound to get a bit of a problem here. When things get complicated, no. So, I'm educated in that, but that doesn't mean I'm qualified. So there's a difference. I think it's more people want for educated people rather than just college educated, because college educated is a little bit of simplicity.
Using non-college-educated military. Whoa, what? So you're saying the right want to invade and fight wars, while the left want...
Yeah, like, it's probably a good thing, they have some educated.
Make friends? Neither of those are true, though. The right and the left use diplomats, and both of them are, largely speaking, not at all fit for their job because diplomats are generally chosen by both political parties based on how much money those diplomats have given to them, or how like much they help their campaigns and stuff. Diplomat postings are very often given to friends of the people in charge.
Yeah.
Donald Trump put his son-in-law in charge of negotiating peace in the Middle East.
What if someone likes the feeling of both marble and velvet?
Like a nut mullet.
Okay, that's just delightful. Wow, what the fuck?
And I don't think that went very well. The left approves of college
Yeah.
bureaucrats making legislation over society, while the right abhors this.
So left college educated bureaucrats is not the word that someone who wants something would use. But
I
anyway,
have never seen any. When he's talking about the left, he means the liberals.
yeah. I
In
despise when Americans do this. Like, oh, the left. It's like, oh yeah, just the whole of the left. It's like, yeah, you know, just like no.
US, aka the Democratic Party. I've never seen the Democratic Party actually like say, "Hey, we don't want to vote on things."
The right, meanwhile, is an alliance of a non-college educated group like the
Like, what does the right actually want though in this situation? Like, the left approves of college educated bureaucrat legislation, while the right doesn't want legislation at all. Is that it? Like, what do you mean by abhors this? What does the right want then? You can't just go, but they don't like it. Okay, like, you know, Johnny likes to murder people, and Timothy doesn't like it when Johnny murders people. What do they think about themselves murdering people? What do you think about that? Like, can you explain it further? I'm a little bit concerned if like, he doesn't like it when Johnny does it. Okay.
army, businessmen, and religious interests who also push those groups.
Religious people and like decision makers in the army famously don't go to college. Like they all have degrees, dude. Theological degrees. They have officers' schools and stuff like that. Come on.
Yeah.
Both pick a group from lower down the social hierarchy
This man doesn't understand how the world works.
as their foot soldiers and whose interests to push secondarily, whether
Diversity makes the world beautiful. Yeah.
ethnic or sexual minorities in the case of the left, or the white working classes in the case of the right,
So should one come
What working classes? Because wow, that's not a fucking weird thing to say.
at the cost of the other?
as well as more government regulations. On the right side, it's from shutting off immigration, tariffs, less regulations indirectly, from having less
Tariffs? So shutting off tariffs?
as well as more government regulations. On the right side, it's from shutting off immigration, tariffs, less
So for introducing tariffs, do you mean?
to push secondarily, whether ethnic or sexual minorities in the case of the left, or the white working classes in the case of the right,
So should one come at the cost of the other?
as well as more government regulations. On the right side, it's from shutting off immigration, tariffs, less regulations
They want tariffs? Because both sides do tariffs.
indirectly, from having less women in the workforce. Both political.
What?
Less regulation indirectly from having less women in the workforce. What does he mean by this?
Honestly, when I look at incels, the first thing I think is them just being potential foot soldiers if ever I want to form a war band.
Huh?
Honestly, when I look at incels,
What? I mean, that's who would that mean there?
the first thing I think is them just being potential foot soldiers if ever I want to form a war band.
That's certainly a thought. It's like, these people will be so easy to manipulate. I could send them marching over the streets. They'd pile off the streets, shot down by drones. Tanks would roll over their bodies, but loads of them wouldn't keep on marching. My foot soldiers keep on moving, sacrificing their lives for me, their kin.
Huh? How often does he think about this?
There are a couple factors that historically determine who wins civil wars with almost ironclad certainty. I'm going to go through these here as a brief way to determine who
Not really, no.
would
Let's
win
go.
in any possible coming conflict. The first factor, and my truly massive factor that's impossible to overstate, is the military.
Yes.
Civil wars in which a nation has a professional, good quality military.
Right, but the point is that there'd be multiple civil wars where the state has lost. So they have the military.
side the army goes with will predict who will win the civil war. With
No.
Not necessarily.
No, this is not true. Not true. First of all, especially by the way, if the army is a like a set in stone thing, like if you're an army officer and you move over to the other side, you're no longer an army officer. You're cast out because the army is in many countries, not all, by definition, this is what the army is. If you move away and go to you're no longer part of the army. You're kicked out. So
But it definitely helps.
This is because the difference between trained and untrained soldiers in combat is so massive that if one side can train its soldiers, it cannot lose. The Russian and French
not really true.
revolutions only worked since the army refused to follow the orders to shoot the rebels and instead sided with the rebels.
Which is a very common thing.
Alternately, look at the Spanish Civil War.
There's one problem with this. Trained is a bit of a complicated thing. For example, in Ireland, a bunch of people came home from World War One with military training. They used that. Let's just say, just because you're not part of the army doesn't mean you don't have military training. If there's a big war, we introduce conscription, or at least there are mass sign-ups. Then after that, you can have a lot of people who are trained, possibly still have guns, but not part of the army, and only joined the army, or possibly never even joined the army, because there was a common enemy.
War with the left-wing nationals controlled almost all of Spain, but then the North African-based fascist army was able to almost single-handedly win the civil war against them from carving across the country.
He doesn't mention the more conformed, or the conformity of opinion on the right side compared to the conformity of opinion
Yeah.
on the left side in the Spanish Civil War, because there was literal infighting on the Spanish Civil War, which is one of the more common things brought up when you talk about the Spanish Civil War.
The U.S. military has historically always tilted right. There aren't good statistics for the last 10 years.
This is interesting because the last person I reacted to who was right. I'm not saying the person I reacted to now. I'm saying the person within this reaction. who actually was they said
things
that
brought up when you talk about the Spanish Civil War.
The U.S. military has historically always tilted right. There aren't good statistics for the last 10 years, but I see very little evidence that things would change.
so sorry sorry
Because there was literal infighting on the Spanish Civil War,
Yeah.
which is one of the more common things brought up when you talk about the Spanish Civil War.
The U.S. military has historically always tilted right. There
This is interesting because I remember when the person I was talking to last time, last libertarian I was talking to was talking about how the EU's government is left wing.
aren't good statistics for the last 10 years, but I see very little evidence that things would change.
Well, I think this is partially true. You have periods in which this is sort of put to the test, like the Vietnam War, where I don't think the military generally sided with people being the right-wingers who were sending them to war or keeping them in the war.
Officers were those who provide leadership and make the decisions for what political side their units would choose.
Yeah, but the units themselves can decide independently, and that's sort of my point. The military is all well and good, but what happens when the people in the military go, no? You know, this happened in Rome. Back in Rome, you'd have the Emperor's Guard. Often, the Emperor's Guard was they're not called that, to be clear. You know, I'm just saying. They're not called the Emperor's Guard. They are. Anyway. Point is, people who Praetorian Guard, I'm not quite sure. And the point is, they would be the deciding factor in a lot of cases of whether that emperor would survive or not. Either they would withdraw their support and people would kill him, or they kill themselves, or else they just try to kill the emperor. So that's the thing there. Not in all cases, but in many cases, you had this thing where the bodyguards of the emperor would be the reason why the emperor fell. You know, and that's the thing that was there. It wasn't necessarily because they you know, what I'm trying to say is that the army in essence is the government. Is the military of the government. So if people within the army leave, then that's the army is still against that side. But those people who leave the army and join the opposite side are now, anyway.
Significantly more conservative as
Sorry, what? They tilt significantly more conservative as well, he says. In 2016, they voted for Trump, or their voting intentions were 40% for Trump, 20% for Hillary Clinton. In August 2020, their voting intention for Donald Trump was 37% and Joe Biden 41%. You literally posted a graph that proves you wrong. And proves my point that these things change and shift and aren't as set in stone. Their voting intentions, as you mentioned.
here the right has a very strong advantage.
Because it controls a lot of empty land.
When you strip away all factors, the political division in America is that between city and countryside. And the countryside produces literally everything the cities consume.
It goes
No, good chunk of what America consumes is imported. But anyway.
it's the other way around as well, you have to understand. And the countryside doesn't actually produce everything the cities consume. There's also a globalized world out there.
Yep, but spot on. Sorry.
So a lot of the raw resources which are imported and then go into manufacturing, and some of the manufacturing requires manufacturing overseas as well. But most of the manufacturing is in and around cities because that creates a lot of jobs, so cities spring up there.
Whether food, oil, electricity, in many cases water and the like.
So he talks about one thing that's very important, and that's oil. Oil would be very important, and a lot of the oil is now in Texas. So yes, that's a big thing.
Since all rural areas in America
Solar.
One
are
thing.
conservative, it's incredibly
Wind
easy for them
turbines.
just to surround and blockade cities, cutting them off from any resources.
Surrounded blockade, like it's not like the land itself.
If you surround here, you could do that with ships. But you couldn't surround without ships. You can surround this here, you can surround here, you can surround here. By the way, I'm going to treat this as correct, even though really it's not really true. Because, like, for example, in Texas, you could have a surprise attack, and the people in charge in Texas could be massacred, and a bunch of people could be massacred in one fell swoop, one little go. And boom, Texas is now on the opposite side. Its people may not be in, but the people can be killed. I'm just going to be brutal if you want to be on. Like, if you want to talk about the wars, you're going to have to talk about brutality. At the end of the day, that's what can occur. Same thing, by the way, can happen in cities as well. These are not set in stone because individuals do live in these cities that don't agree with them, so they can seize power.
Is going to be fighting the Civil War. The people will be fighting the Civil War. So you have to think about the infrastructure in these places. Can you move people? Can you move goods? How does it work? Compare that to the infrastructure in places that he calls left-wing.
Even on a broader geographic level, the conservative states are a giant central block, while the blue states are on either side of the continent. The blue bubbles in between
Again, that's not necessarily the advantage you think it is. You see these guys who are all on the coastline, and you see all these guys who are in the middle of the country. They have to travel across land to get anywhere. These guys have the ocean where they can take ships, which are significantly faster to move up and down here, for example. There's still, a canal here in Panama that allows them to go around. So, like, it's faster to go around than it is to go across, especially with the dog shit infrastructure that the American heartland has, which is, of course, the result of politicians neglecting the American heartland on the right and the left.
like Chicago, Minneapolis, New Mexico, or Colorado are surrounded on all sides by hundreds of miles of red
Well,
territory.
not really the left, it's more so the right there.
Almost certainly immediately consumed.
How many people live
I
there?
think this is probably one of the biggest factors, where the right is a single geographic entity encompassing the vast majority of the country. Meanwhile, the left controls various
War is not painting lines on like a hotline floor map. That's not how war works. If you look at the use
Yeah.
of Civil War within the last couple of decades, look at those maps and look at how much territorial control actually matters. Civil wars last forever, and holding and taking stuff on a map doesn't actually matter. What actually matters is holding key central areas, like for example here, Kansas City, or holding cities. That's the big thing that wins civil wars. Which in this situation, it seems like the Democrats, if there was a Democrat versus Republican civil war, which is a Republican civil war, which is of course absurd. That's not how a civil war would play out in the United States. I don't think. Then the Democrats would have.
It depends. You can have that can occur. Kind of occurred in my country in a sense. You have people around you who are pro-treaty, the anti-treaty side. I'm pro-treaty came from the same political camp, but they didn't really come from the same political camp. That was they were on the same really issue at the end of the day. But that's like. But the point is at the end of the day that there is many cases where civil wars are just used to seize power. They're not what they appear to be. They're not what they actually are fought for. They are the reason why they start is because people who want power, push for civil war.
A key advantage. Look at where the fighting was going on in Syria and stuff. Like the big places people fight over aren't like swaths of they don't fight over a mountain or like swaths of like fields or whatever. They fight over cities.
You do not fight over the surround cities though. Fuck off.
HelloFresh is the easy way to cook delicious.
Sorry, I'll be back in a minute. Anyway, the point I'm making is that you would sometimes see people fight over land that's around cities, because obviously if you don't do that, then you can have the risk of your city being surrounded, and people, if there's like a mountain surrounding your city, then people can like shoot down the mountain, and it's a lot harder to shoot up.
Islands of territory, as well as territory on each coast. But even those long coastal strips are remarkably easy to divide, split up, and keep them from coordinating. So you'd have a central right-wing command in all likelihood.
Rather, keep them from coordinating. It's not like they have to send runners across the land to speak. Again, they have the ocean.
While the various left
Destroying hot. On 4 lines on the
would
map.
be split between a New York command, a Boston command, a Washington D.C. command, a San Francisco command, a
You think they could command armies up in Portland and command armies down here and down in Texas and down in Florida and down here through one centralized command? You think that would be practically possible? This is an insanely large swath of land. That's not how you command armies. What is he talking about? To give an
Oh
example.
no, they may well command armies that way. It's just that No, I mean I don't think it's very fair, because like that may well happen. It doesn't mean it's a good idea. It just means it could happen. Like you can potentially sort of like command an army that way. It doesn't mean it's good. It's like you go there and you go there. I would pour time zones. Fuck yeah, we forgot about the time zones. Okay guys, we're gonna use unified time. We're gonna use unified time from now on. Some of you didn't hear about the whole unified time thing. Okay, can we plan this a little bit? I'm just saying you can plan things in central place. Although the same as you can plan an entire school trip without telling anybody else. Like yeah, you could do that. Not really gonna work though, is it? You can do this. Doesn't mean it'll work.
Well, Russia, which of course is larger here than here, they have military districts who are in command of certain areas of the country.
Seattle command that would make it incredibly difficult for the left to coordinate while the right could just surround and consume them. The third factor is culture, or what side can muster a tough group of fighting men who will fight fanatically for their cause. In the Russian Civil War, the Bolsheviks started out with something like 2% of the support of the population, but they were able to maintain the most internal unity among their coalition, literally shooting any dissenters.
That's not how that went down. The Bolsheviks were one part of a large, broad coalition, or a large, broad movement, which was fighting the Tsar and the Tsarist forces. The Bolsheviks won because they won out on the internal struggle, and it wasn't just shooting anyone who disagreed. There was a lot more complexity to it than that. They did a lot of clever and sort of backstabbing political maneuvering against some of the other factions, like the Socialist Revolutionaries and some of the liberal factions. Hey, Future Freddy here again, just some additional context. What granted the revolutionary success in Russia was what's called a popular front. A lot of disparate movements who agreed on one thing came together to fight for that one thing, and that one thing was a new constitution and a new democratic society.
The first 3 years
This guy fucking loves models.
basically split apart society to the benefit of the individual. The bourgeois Western left has a really poor track record to keep
The bourgeois Western left. Yo, is this a Maoist third worldist? Hitler's rise to power compared to Stalin. Stalin kept
You can see this in Hitler's Rise to Power against Stone. Okay, no, you're gonna be there.
branding everyone opposed him or even was a potential enemy as counter-revolutionary, not following proper doctrine, and had them removed from power by saying they were abandoning his ideology or not being radical enough. Meanwhile, even when it was clear Hitler was not.
Yeah, Stalin removed them from power. Just removed them from power. That's what Stalin did. He didn't fucking kill them. It's like, yeah, he removed them from power. Technically true. It's funny, like, that's not wrong. He did remove them from power. In the same way that if I, riddle you with bullets, I remove you from life. Like, it's one way to describe it.
Going to put the Kaiser back on the throne, the vast majority of right-wingers.
So, no, that was because they knew if they opposed him, they'd be fucking killed. Hitler did when he had power. He had all his fucking the main rivals and had them killed. Long knives and all that, Do you remember that? Did you bother fucking reading that part of history? They had all of his competitors killed. I think that to me would be a really fucking thing. I would go, okay. Best not oppose this fella. Also, what is he going to do for me? Oh, he's going to give me loads of Jewish land? Okay, it's a pretty good deal for me then. Hitler's giving really good deals to private property owners and right-wingers. So yeah, no fucking shite they're going to keep him in power. What?
Continue to support, or at very least not oppose him, and let the Nazi state do what it wanted. Is this meant to be a positive for the right-wingers who decided to just let the Nazi state do what it wanted? Future Freddy, again, this is revisionist history. The people who sided with Hitler were not outright Nazis, but were reactionary right-wingers in one way or another. Did not side with Hitler because they wanted the Kaiser restored to the throne. They don't think that was going to happen. Hitler wasn't exactly sort of shy about talking about his ideology and his manifesto. Instead, they sided with Hitler because they thought Hitler would be a good way of fighting communism.
Yeah. Although, not really a great idea. Hitler was just like, no, it's fine. There we go. Okay, but that's not how you remove communism. That's just how you suppress it from getting power. That's, there are other ways around it. And not to say that, it is still the most effective way of dealing with communism to ban it, but, because obviously not banning it is, and the thing is, like, communists and the Nazis were pretty much even on when it comes to voting. In fact, if you combine the two, they had a majority. The majority of Germany at the time was either like communist or Nazi, like in some retrospect. Obviously, there's different like sides. You've got extreme Nazis, they're like, okay, I guess I'll vote for you guys, kind of thing. But yeah, I think anyone really did think that the Kaiser was coming back, because the Germans removed the Kaiser. You're aware of that? Like, the Germans removed the Kaiser before the end of World War One, because they're like, fuck this fella. He fucking brought us into this war.
Culture, where it just continually, if the members weren't pure enough,
Stalin cancelled all these guys
of its own faction. You see that across history, where the left was split into Marxist, Leninists, Trotskyites, anarchists who could not get along.
The thing is, though, Stalin removed it within his own government and outside. Hitler also did that, the concentration camp. Do you think maybe that was the thing I want to include?
would have civil wars amongst themselves, and you just do not see that in the right. You do not see right-wingers turn on their own people. Left-wing
You
What
know, but it,
the fuck? Yes, you do. In the case you've given. In general, maybe not. But in the case you've given, yeah. Do you notice the concentration camps? Do you notice the fact that if you didn't support the Nazis in Nazi Germany, you would find yourself in one of those camps? That was the thing they knew about. They didn't know about the camps, but you could do that. But like the Gestapo would come to your home and you'd be taken away. They knew about that. That's the thing they knew about. That's one of the issues when you look at the Nazis, where you look at somebody who can say, "Oh, I was a Nazi because of fear." It's like, okay, you did still benefit off them business-wise, so maybe you should give them money back. No, there we go. And that's the problem there, right? Which is that they actually did do that. So no.
in different ways. For example, have you heard of a thing called the Night of the Long Knives?
Yeah.
Which was the purging of
Boom! Well, it's insane.
very many members of the National Socialist Party in Germany. Here's history.com, which of course has its own problems. In Germany, Nazi leader Adolf Hitler orders a bloody purge of his own political party, assassinating hundreds of Nazis whom he believed had the potential to become political enemies in the future. The leadership of the Nazi stormtroopers, the SA, whose 4 million members had helped bring Hitler to power in the early 1930s, was especially targeted. Hitler feared that some of his followers had taken his early National Socialist propaganda too seriously, and thus might compromise his plan to suppress workers' rights in exchange for German industry making the country war ready. He was afraid that people actually thought he meant socialism when he was doing his National Socialist propaganda, so he had to kill them.
militaries of all sorts underperform militarily. Just
I should have done this, by the
the
way.
Union went through ideological purges before World War I, with ideological infighting being the norm in the left and purging its own population. Meanwhile,
The Nazis famously never purged its own population. The Holocaust, of course, only targeted people outside of Germany's borders.
Yeah.
Is he saying German Jews were not Germans? Like, what's going on?
fascist Japan
It's freaking weird, man. Also, it didn't just include Jewish people. It also included people who are gay, people who are trans, people who are, just in general disagreement with the Nazis, people who are, Muslim, people who are travelers, people who are, considered gypsies, people who. By the way, also, when you say Jewish, you're also you're using the Nazi definition of Jewish, which is a terrible definition. It's like, if your family were, okay, not how that works, but anyway, and all these things. Also, they would eventually probably done away with Christians. That was probably another thing they would have done away with. With Nazis, that's not really a great example because the Nazis did fail in the end. They did succeed in gaining power, but they also failed in their end point or in their ideology. I mean, if they didn't, we wouldn't be talking about this, would we? We'd be dead. Well, I wouldn't be dead. I wasn't alive. But what I'm trying to say is that their end goal would have been to remove most religious groups. So yeah.
did not purge their own populations, but instead turned their hatred at other groups and fought terrifyingly well.
Do you know? No, to be clear, I'm not.
Inspiration is just.
Okay. I'm not actually I'm not an apologist for what the Soviet Union did, but no. What I'm saying is the Soviet Union did fight fucking well when it came to the Second World War. And possibly you could argue from forced fighting, but anyway.
Connected to the first point, the right has a much more martial culture. I once heard a joke on a left-wing late-night TV show that one side
Jimmy fucking is it Jimmy? I don't know. Fallon came up. Whatever this fucker's name is, I forget it again. He's not left fucking wing. He abuses his workers. Okay, that's like a known fact. It's not fucking left wing. Jesus Christ, when I hear these fucking people. Oh, okay, it's not left wing. Okay, this is a multi-millionaire who abuses his workers.
in America brings
Jimmy Fallon is not left wing. He's afraid of saying the word Palestine.
one cannot be a hunter in the modern left. The modern left literally views masculine
YouTube Friday here. Right before making this video, I had dinner with someone who hunts, who is also part of the modern left. There's plenty of hunters in the modern left. There's rifle organizations in the modern left as well. The Socialist Rifle Organization of America.
and aggression is toxic and be removed from society. For those that don't read history, societies that martial warrior cultures lose and get conquered. When you get down
Not true. If you're very violent as a culture, but not very powerful, you've got maybe a low amount of population, or your military technology level is very low. Other nations see that as a threat and they go, "Fucking Christ, we're not letting you stay around. We're going to invade you." This is one of the reasons why France was advocating for invading Germany. As when Hitler originally came into power, because they're like, "Oh no, he's rearming the country. We know that. So let's invade." Which we're allowed to do under the Treaty of Versailles and crush it. England refused, thus causing Second World War. And that's one of the things. That's one of the big things which you have to be very, very careful about as a nation. If you're very militaristic, you are seen as a threat by other nations around you, and they may well go, "We're gonna have to invade. We're gonna have to invade because you're kind of talking about invading us, and we don't really want that."
under the sides that win wars are those that convince young men to fight hardest for them.
That's not true. The sides that win wars are the ones who are, generally speaking, logistically capable of fighting a war. That's the
Yeah.
deciding factor. It doesn't matter how much you want to win the war. You have to have the means to win the war. You have to have the guns, you have to have the ammo, and you have to have the logistical infrastructure to transport your troops to the front line. And you have to have the factories to repair and replace equipment.
As the left gets more radical, it will alienate young men, and very much more so young men of good military fiber, who will go to the right. Young men are insecure.
Young men are also very easily, individual humans are very easy to kill. With modern technology, few bombs, problem solved. Currently, at this moment, if a couple of people conspire together, maybe more than a couple, they could wipe the world out of humans. And also animals, but humans. Mostly. There might be a few human survivors. There are instances where people do survive, like nuclear bombs and stuff like that, but it's not really true. One of the problems, of course, with I would argue with being in individual places, it is relatively easy to bomb. the modern world, it really wouldn't make much sense to like all this, because a civil war in the modern world would be very easily fought with just like kind of a mutually assured destruction sort of thing, where it's like, no, we're both able to kill each other, you know.
And trying to find their way in the world. And so feminism's emphasis on toxic masculinity will breed a horrifying counter-reaction, about which I
This
would
is such a weird video to be talking about like alt history stuff. This is not a this is a manifesto.
a future video.
Yeah.
This YouTube channel's viewership is over 90% young men. And so tell me this. If you're picking what side
What
you
do I-
fight in,
This is not necessarily true. I'm not sure if I've already made this, but I've got the works around looking at YouTube analytics. YouTube analytics is really, really unreliable. If you have a channel that says it's 90% men, it is not necessarily true. Because I remember I have had multiple channels in the past, and I've gone, that is categorically not true. I know for a fact that those analytics are not true. You know?
die for? Will a speech of how you need to empower genderqueer people of color inspire you? Or would you prefer to hear one on how you will fight for honor in God and country?
Bro, I'm not fighting for honor and God and country. Fuck that shit. Why would I want to fight for honor and God and country, bro? What
Nationalistic, aren't you?
has honor and God done for me, bro?
No,
At least the other
Yeah.
side was, saying we're going to help these people. That seems like a very direct material sort of way of at least doing something positive. I don't know what the fuck this is meant to mean. Honor, God, and country. These are abstract concepts. I think the people who actually promise very specific changes, positive changes, are probably going to be the ones you're going to want to fight for.
How you'll be heroes and burn your enemies out of their holes. Forward to
What the
glory for king until your last dying
Forward to glory for king.
breath. Between military resources, centralized geography, and culture, I think we've covered the really important variables.
Yeah, I want to ask him again. How the fuck do you think the Kansas City dudes are going to be helping the guys across the Rockies fighting the people in California? Like, what the fuck are you on about? If a civil war broke out at the front lines and he showed, that shit would be pushed to the Rockies, and the rural red, I guess, forces would not be able to push across the Rockies. Like, come on, look at the geography, dude. You're talking about these things, but you're not actually analyzing them.
Yeah,
Over to
but
left-
also the fact is, if you've got a military ship that's here and that's commanded by a bunch of right wingers, you've got another military ship commanded over here and that's got a bunch of left wingers. Maybe they've executed a bunch of right wingers on board, and they have nuclear missiles on board, and maybe they're able to get around it. All these different things. Maybe just regular missiles, and they're able to fire them. Pew! This entire area is destroyed here.
still has some advantages. The major centers of technology, culture, and capital are in left-wing hands. However, I largely
The centers are in left-wing hands, but the actual capital and culture and all that are not necessarily in left-wing hands. Those
Yeah.
things are owned by billionaires, who I would not
Yeah.
consider left-wing.
think of these are non.
Well, arguably, billionaires only own it in a legal sense. They don't own it in a figurative sense. Like a factory, for example. Yes, it's owned by the billionaire, but it isn't really in the hands of. You know what I mean? Like it's in the hands of the workers. It's just not in the hands of legally the workers. So the money goes to the billionaires, but only in a legal sense. It only goes there because the machinations of society say it should go there. So technically, workers rose up, then they would take it.
factors. As Mao Zedong said, power comes from
Holy shit, he's gonna quote Mao.
the barrel of a gun, and left-wingers can have Hollywood, the banks, and Apple. But
He says power comes from the barrel of a gun, quoting Mao Zedong, which is
Mao says that.
why the left will lose, as he quotes a left-wing revolutionary who won.
if those people don't have the missiles or the electricity, they can't fight. I often
What kind of missiles
But
and electricity did Mao have?
hear people say that the left has some massive financial or technological advantage that would give them
Holy shit, that party's so funny. I have to go back.
Jesus Christ, no.
Banks famously run by communists.
I hear people say that the left has some massive financial or technological advantage that would give them victory. The real
No, it
technology
doesn't.
between red and blue states is nil, and the economic and population size of both is the same. The left would be physically incapable of hiring mercenaries to be able to match the U.S. military. And the top American mercenary companies would probably end up siding with the right anyway.
Yes, they would. He's
I'm not sure about that though. Like, mercenary companies are willing to side with the right, but only if the right is willing to promise that they won't be affected. This would have American thing is. By the way, to be clear, this isn't left and right argument. You're saying Republican Democrat. So Democrats send people off to fight in wars as well. Often wars they are more likely to win. Republicans are more likely to send someone off in a war which is fucking pointless and possibly could get them invaded and have people killed. If you're sending military officers off to an area where it's going to be like, oh, we have no reason to enter this area, they're not attacking us. Yeah, also they may well win. They may not win overall, but the thing is, like, let's say 50 million Americans are killed. But because America has so many people and so much military technology, they win overall. So they win. That's well and good. But still, those people got killed. So it's worth it, Even if you win, is it worth it fighting? Because like they weren't fighting you. You didn't need to fight. You just fought for whatever fucking reason,
cracking that, but you're not hiring mercenaries during a civil war necessarily, unless you are the government, in which case you probably definitely would do that. But the people who are fighting civil war are generally the people of the country.
Likewise, the division among
Yeah.
young people is likely smaller than people would think. And as I said before, the right would have a much stronger pull on the young demographic that matters for civil wars, aggressive young men.
What is the best way to invest 10,000 euros if you live in Europe? Okay, so you have some money sitting in your bank account, and you think,
Oh my god. I will say one of the problems with this is, as I said before, relatively easy just to bomb America out.
Let's go.
Writing the script, I just kept on being confused on how this could possibly be a civil war. When it comes to actual military punching ability, one side is so much more power than the other that it almost seems like a joke. How could we have gotten to the point where it looks like we're on the verge of a civil war between two sides that are so fundamentally mismatched?
Okay. But here's the thing. Imagine all of these people have no guns, no technology, and all this, except this person here. This person here is a military commander who commands 5 ships and is able at a moment's notice to order military level missiles to be fired on anywhere they're pleasing, because their crew trusts them. Now, they order that they missiles fire on all of these people. Suddenly, even though this side isn't able to fight this side, well, this person is. Individuals can destroy the many by simply having military technology. So, who strikes first? The likelihood of this person being a bunker, and let's say this person is also similar, except on the opposite side, they can command multiple ships and they can fire on these people. They're both in a shelter, which probably will be. Then they both survive. You find each other, boom, 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 but they never actually win because they're both fine. Both people are fine, but the rest of them are not fine. Both sides are not going to be fine. If it was American Civil War in modern day, it would probably be a massacre, or be similar to Cold War with mutually assured destruction.
I think he hasn't, and he might prove me wrong. Maybe. He hasn't really done his research on the radical organizations on the left. He's shown a couple of the right-wing radical organizations like the Proud Boys and stuff like that. I don't know if he's shown like Oath Keepers, like 3% or whatever, as well. Don't remember, the video was long, kind of boring. But, well, actually, no, it's no longer boring. After that Malcolm, I'm sorry, I'm taking it back. This video is very funny. But he hasn't like done his research on the radical left-wing organizations, which I think many of them might have better organizational power, better they're better organizing than the right-wingers. He hasn't mentioned the Black Panthers, for example, the Black Panther Party once. The whole reason America has gun control did not come from the left. It came from Ronald Reagan on the right in California because the Black Panther Party was showing up open carrying when demonstrating, and it scared the right-wing white people, and so they started to talk about gun control.
After giving it some thought, it actually makes sense from a very limited perspective of what makes our era of history special. I remember talking to one of my best friends, YouTuber JJ McCullough, about how the political...
What?
Isn't a great metric that makes our era of history special. I remember talking to one of my best friends, YouTuber JJ McCullough.
Best friend. I despise when YouTubers use the word friend, right? I really, 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 really don't like it. You know? Because it gives us the same vibe as like, oh, I like this person, he's famous. They're my friend. Are they your friend or are you friendly towards them?
Great metric for looking at history, since basically everyone before the
Yes.
Industrial Revolution was conservative authoritarian.
What?
By the way, who's saying the channel is epic? Or is it you or is it the original video? Sorry, so. Okay, let's dive into this. On the left, in authoritarian, we have the Tanky, the Trotsky, the anti-fascist, the democratic socialist, the socialist, the Nazi. Okay, Jesus Christ. I'm gonna just leave that up to you to read because.
So you think the serfs were like this rules, like giving a lot of the grain to this dude and being present in military service to fight for his honor and shit? Were like, we love this stuff, this owns.
This is since in the pre-industrial world, half of children died before age 15.
Well, the serfs in Russia said, yo, the Tsar totally poggers.
It wasn't uncommon for 1/3 of nations to die in disease and war over a couple decades. War was omnipresent and a bunch of other things like that. People care.
This isn't really true. For example, Britain has fought a lot of wars. France has fought, I believe, the most wars. They often didn't fight wars that they were going to lose, though. They fought wars where they needed a lot of military power, but not that much to win. So in many cases, they would be like, there's your army. We are like massively overpowered against that person. We can just crush them very easily. So, for example, they would send an invasion force to Ireland, and then they would crush it. Like, that's not hard. That's not the people of England being involved in war. That's just the English having an army they can send off and crush. So it's sort of the same thing in America. America has a massive war thing there, but that's more of a will in America. America has a very war-centric, like, this is our military. Other nations are like, this is our empire, this is our control, this is what we have, but it's up to the side. General people don't have to think about that. Which is wise. Because it means they don't have to think about their country's actions against.
But we're talking about like the Middle Ages, for example, or the Renaissance or whatever. There were long periods without war in these societies as well. Showing Japan, for example, which had.
And even if the periods when you had war, a lot of the times it was more armies. And one nation would be fighting war desperately with their entire people. The other nation would be just like a few people over there. You don't care though.
Long period of peace before it started into single period, the Warring States period, I think it's called, which is what this picture is, I assume. And then afterwards, they had a long period of peace as well.
Did you know that the vast majority of self-published books don't sell more than a few copies? It's because
Warring States period, I think it's called, which is what this picture is, I assume. And then afterwards, they had a long.
Okay, well, I mean.
Period of peace as well.
So their group survived and they did. Societies maxed out the unifying social values since everyone had to work together, so their culture wasn't enslaved and murdered.
Maxed out the unifying social values. So is he talking about like political PowerPoints or something?
So he's not, in this case, not talking about civil wars, he's talking about invasionary force.
This
is why heresy was so scary.
But that's only one side. One side is being invaded, the other side is not, so, yeah.
In the Middle Ages, where the Romans and Russians made their soldiers serve for 20
He's misunderstanding this. Like, it's not about unifying the culture in order to survive against opponents. That unifying culture was there to reinforce a hierarchical system in order to keep the people in power. It was there to keep the people on top, oppressing the people on the bottom. Heresy was super scary because heresy meant you could have diverse ideas that could conflict with the ideas of the rulers, the people in charge, and that could create civil wars. It wasn't a measure of keeping people united against a common enemy. You kept people united against a common enemy so they wouldn't kill you. It's all a measure of social control.
The American left doesn't view the world in survival terms because it hasn't had to. For people's collective memory.
Sorry, what?
It's all a measure of social control.
The American left doesn't view the world in survival terms.
They kind of do, though, don't they? Because that's the point. The American right are killing people every day.
Hasn't had to. For people's collective memories, it matches.
I think a lot of people on the left do view the world in survival terms. I definitely have in history. The left he talks about, especially the left that fights for the rights of minorities, for example, a large part of the people who organized for those rights were part of those minorities historically. And those people definitely thought in terms of survival because they were being hounded by the KKK, for example,
Yeah.
or other organizations. Sometimes literally the police. Martin Luther King did not die in his bed in peace.
Thus, the left simply does not have the values to wage war, organize groups or the like. A left-winger would never write a report like this since they wouldn't view it in the same cold terms as me.
I mean, that's not true.
Instead, talking about women, minorities, and young people feeling inspired to.
No, I'm, as you might be able to tell at this point, someone who speaks from the perspective of the left, and I view the world in terms of survival as well, but in different ways. I don't have all these
Yeah.
contentious, weird, like culture war ideas. I think that people need a house to survive, and they need food to survive, and they need infrastructure to get around in order to do the things that they need in order to survive. They need things that improve their quality of life, so that their mental health doesn't lead them to breaking points. I agree with this sentiment with this guy. I just have like different solutions. I think that these things should be guaranteed, and then you don't have desperation, which leads to civil war, for example.
Cast off oppressive structures at once. However, in the post-scarcity, post-World War II world,
My guy said post-scarcity, post-World War II world, like we're living in Star Trek, like we've eliminated homelessness,
Yay.
and no.
Scarcity is gone. Ignore all the like. Even within America, there's scarcity. Of course, it's manufactured scarcity, but yeah. Well, I guess the argument could be that we are, if you're an American, post scarcity. The only issue is, that doesn't mean you have access to food. It just means the food is there, in the shops. It's there, or in the fields, not being picked up. It's there, but you're not gonna get it, so you're gonna die. See, this is much better, isn't it, than living in a country that just doesn't have food. Just living in a country that has plenty of food, but just doesn't want to give it to you.
Nobody's going hungry or poor anymore.
however, without the external pressures of survival and with their view of history as a permanent arc of progress, left-wingers don't have the intellectual ability to think critically of being crushed by the right in a conflict. This is why they push for various extremist measures, because the idea that they could just lose and die and the arc of history loses is just impossible for them. There was a time in my life
This is a funny
I hung out
idea.
in radical left-wing circles. They lived in downtown Philadelphia, and a lot of my best friends and family members were radical left-wingers. And one of the things that always shocked me was that they would push for radical social change or revolution, and I would just think, you guys are playing the absolute worst game you could, because if the left pulls revolution now, the right just pulls out the army and pulls out the electricity and crushes them. And
Once again, two bombs would remove America completely off the face of the map. There's a reason why bombs aren't fired in America, which is they have bombs themselves. The thing of mutually assured destruction. That's why the Cold War existed and why America and Russia didn't bomb the fuck out of each other. Because they realized, well, if we bomb the fuck out of each other, then that's kind of pointless, isn't it? Because then we're both dead, which we both don't want. So how we just fight over other areas, That way, keeping it simple, Like, at the end of the day, it's not impossible that in the future countries will be bombed with nuclear bombs. But the thing is, America could do that themselves. So
It's not like the left will say, let's do a revolution, and then the military come in and shoot them. Certain left-wing elements of society would be striking or doing other things that might be revolutionary. They might be agitating for revolution. And then the cops and the police will be sent in. And then the critical deciding moment is, will the cops and the police want to kill their own friends and family? That's the issue. And he's been building this idea that a bunch of people on the right are like, yeah, no, we love war. We love killing people. We are aggressive. We are warriors. We fight, and we want to kill our friends and family, it seems like. Which is kind of a disgusting worldview. I don't think that's how things work. I don't think that's how people think. I don't think that's how right-wingers, who, like the general, normal right-wingers think. I think a lot of them vote
I think some of them do.
in their economic interests, for example, because they have big houses and they don't want larger tax burdens and stuff like that. Even if those taxes would then go on to help people who don't have big houses or any houses at all. I think people on the right are just selfishly going for this. I don't think they have this weird mentality that he is arguing that they have.
wingers don't seem to realize most Americans support what their agendas are. Most Americans support rights for gay people or black people
Yes.
or improved quality of life for the poor and all that
Yes.
stuff.
But the majority of the US government at the moment doesn't really do that in practical policy terms. The fucking Speaker of the House is against gay marriage rights. So no, that's not true in the government though.
Yes.
And as a right-winger, most right-wingers I know don't care that much about climate change
Oh shit, he's a right-winger. Could not figure that one out.
per se.
This is a devastating revelation.
They care that any left-wing acceptance of climate change immediately results in more state planning. And
Do you think we should just leave it up to the individual to solve climate change? I think that is devastating the entire world. Maybe we need to cooperate and organize together into things that we have organized together into to solve large problems that we can't solve as individuals in the past. Like, for example, if there's famine and stuff, if there's...
I think maybe we should just let climate change happen. It should be very funny. I think it's just like at this point, I have questioned the idea of look at the world of 1984. Will that world have climate change? Because if 1984 had climate change, would they address it, or would they continue to just keep pumping out fossil fuels, and then it would just murder everyone, and they'd be like, I don't know.
war, as he described, right? Like if someone might invade you, we have formed into these social groups that work together towards common ends before. That's why we have nations and governments and so on and so forth. So how come we shouldn't do that with climate change? I don't get the argument here.
I just don't understand why left-wingers don't play a softer hand to get their policies done. Since the
Some of them do. Many of them do. That's why social democracy exists. Future Freddy here. Social Democrats in his mind are probably far-left radicals who are arguing for crazy ideas like free healthcare, which is a right in countries like Norway and a lot of countries in Europe, or
Yeah.
socialized housing, which is a standard in Europe. These very sensible policies, which are not at all radical to him, are probably insane. So
Like in my country, we have a promise about maybe over 5,000 houses a year. If you said that in America, if you did that in America, it would be
Even though he says-
around roughly speaking about maybe 3 million houses. roughly speaking. Yeah, 5,000. And no, sorry. No, it'd be more than 300,000 houses. It'd be about 10% of the sorry, not 10%. 0.1% of the country housed every single year.
The left are too
You know.
heavy-handed in pushing their policies. I think that any policies that remotely address the issues, he would consider heavy-handed.
The left believes
Yeah.
progress is a continuous upward.
But he said a very interesting thing here. In the same sort of breath, he said the left believes that the whole country will rally to their cause, and he describes this as a delusion. And then immediately he goes on to say most people support the policies of the left. This society and this situation that he describes as one where most people agree with the ideals of the supposed revolutionaries in this alternate history, a civil war scenario. What wouldn't they line
It
up
wouldn't be all
against?
history, it'd be all future now.
It's with the revolutionaries if suddenly the military or the government starts cracking down on them. We're trying to fight for these things that everyone believes in. I don't really understand what it's saying here.
The British and the American
Oh,
Revolution
he's talking about the rural South who lost against the industrial North.
of the South.
The English Civil War. Ruling faction, royalists. Opposition, parliament. Debatable. Unpopular policies. Anglism, ship taxes. I mean, it's an event forcing Anglism on Scotland. That's not true. Social clash, capitalist east versus rural. No, that's also not true. The parliament wins. That is not true. The English Civil War occurred because the aristocracy were not in agreement with the religiousness in a sense. Sorry, you should go to somebody else to discuss the English Civil War. But I can't describe it very well. That's just not true. Sorry, the American Revolution, British Tories, yeah, opposition Americans, some Americans, taxes, no representation, simplified stuff. It's not really that. British seizing armory at Lexington. That's not really true. It was more shooting people. In America, they shot people who protested. American colonies versus Britain. What? Colony. Rebels win. American Civil War. Southern Democrats. Southern Democrats. No. What? 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 No. Oh, sorry. Ruling faction. No. Okay. Shouldn't they be swapped over? I'm not quite sure. The Democrats around Dred Scott. No. What? Okay. Republicans win the presidency. Okay. Sorry. So they're saying the ruling faction was the Democrats, and then the Northern Republicans won. Okay. Not really true. It should be the Republicans are in power. The ruling faction. Sorry, the ruling faction is actually the Northern Republicans. The opposition is Southern Democrats. And because the presidency isn't really the deciding event realistically. Yeah.
Civil War are in power. They push various unpopular political programs for their ideological agenda while struggling bitterly to balance between moderates and radicals inside their factions.
Slavery wasn't popular in majority.
Political tensions are high, but haven't burnt into flames yet. There were inflaming events beforehand that make both sides angry.
Okay, this is kind of boring.
Thus causing mass rebellions in left-wing dominated cities.
I don't think totally banning abortion would cause mass rebellions. I think it would cause a lot of political upheaval.
It didn't cause full revolution. Caused people to protest, but yeah.
But I don't think it would cause like full-on civil war or anything.
Chaz, but 20 times the size. The other side, being the left, tries to do something like stack the Supreme Court, thus resulting in army units in Kentucky refusing to follow orders, which spreads like wildfire.
Also, don't think that would ever happen. That's very weird.
The difference between this crisis and the ones before is that there was
I think the stacking of the Supreme Court is a thing that could happen, but I don't think army units in Kentucky would then try to overthrow the government.
in the left, right.
That a thing happened like that in my country, the army. And yeah, it's that can cause civil war, but civil wars generally, if that happens, civil wars generally end.
It's a matter of how long it takes, and I see two different kinds of scenarios that can play out. The first scenario
He's right. If it was a civil war right now, the right would win. The Democrats would win.
is a slow burn.
The liberals would win.
For whatever reason, left-wing militia seize control over the inner cities and establish their own societies. Again, for whatever reason, whether lack of political will, bad timing, or a left-wing presidency, the right does not crack down upon them. After several years, a populist right-wing president seizes power and brings the nation to a new positive direction. This scenario is a lot to say for again, for whatever reason, whether lack of political will, bad timing, or a left-wing presidency, the right does not crack down upon them. After several years, a populist right-wing president seizes power and brings the nation to a new positive direction. This
You positive?
scenario is a lot to say for it, in my opinion, given that the U.S. is a lot less desperate than other similar eras of history, since no one will starve in America. And Americans send a pretty
Do you think that maybe people starve right now in America? Yeah, they do, so don't be a fucking idiot.
moderate people politically.
No one will starve in America? What? People are starving in America now.
As historical record shows as well. The more
There's only one major rebellion in history, like that being the most country. Yeah, but there's been a good bunch of countries that haven't. England has technically had multiple, but not really had any like out and out. Like it's only ever had one civil war. Ireland is the same. Although arguably two if you include the island of Ireland. France, similar. There's also things where it's like, well, is that really multiple civil wars, or is that just one civil war continuing on? But there's a portion of peace but then it comes back, because that's not really multiple. That's just treated as multiple because there's gaps, It's not really, anyway.
More radical scenarios.
Only one major. What's a major rebellion? What's your criteria for major rebellion? I mentioned the Battle of Bear Mountain, where they
Yeah.
literally had trench warfare and they bombed people. These sorts of situations are not uncommon in American history.
Yeah, I was saying that's the other thing. What even is called a major rebellion? There's the fact that number one, you can have multiple rebellions that are actually just one rebellion, but just divided into different times, and then you can have multiple rebellions that are only counted, and only one of them is counted because it's the big one, and then the other ones are like, If it's very, what I'm saying is, if it's very one-sided, it cannot be counted because it's seen as like a failed revolution or a failed disagreement, or violent disagreement. Because it's failed, it's not seen as important. It's not seen as a major rebellion, and that's very odd.
To the left goes more radical more quickly. The U.S. Army feels threatened and then launches what amounts to a coup, cleaning and killing left-wing cities. Restructuring society to the left cannot have
Cleaning. What the fuck do you mean by that?
power again. This kind of scenario is more plausible than you might imagine, given how America is becoming so politically radicalized that it's entirely possible blood will come. In some ways, it seems like the more likely option.
America's not actually that politically radicalized in a real terms, in actual beliefs. It is radicalized in the sense of what people believe the other side is. People go, oh, the teachers are teaching our kids to be trans. Like, okay, they're not. So no, but in a sense, you understand what that would be. That is, technically speaking, radicalized, different. They're really polarized. It's not really polarized. One side thinks that the other side is doing this, and the other side is like, well, no, we're not. And then it's like, okay, so you're actually relatively close together, because you don't think you are. I will say the left is only more aware of what the Republicans are doing. Although I some people on the left do think that the Republicans actually have an honest majority and have an honest support, and people honestly support them, instead of just looking at individual like far right people and going, maybe they are actually a minority, like an extreme minority, and actually that's something. But anyway, yeah.
Americans are becoming so unhinged, I don't know what kinds of peaceful methods they could calm down.
Unhinged.
On top of this, there's a massive precedent for this sort of thing when unhinged urban leftists cause revolutions only to have the army immediately crush them. Look at France, Germany.
Wait, there's a massive precedent for this sort of thing where unhinged urban leftists cause revolutions only to have the army immediately crush them, while showing a picture of Fidel Castro, a left-wing revolutionary who fought through the countryside to take over and who beat the army, which was much larger than its.
Also, most crushing of the left happens through elections. You just sort of just rig elections, or you use propaganda to convince people to support you, or you get in one issue and you say, oh look, we support this issue. That's the main issue people are going for. So they vote for you, and then next thing you're like, That's happened in my country. My country was a very left-wing country, and then one party came in and said, okay, what we'll do is we'll fight for independence. So it became an independent party. And then what happened when that party took power? The party was like, all the left-wing stuff, yeah, we'll have some of it, but most of it we can chuck out. And then we became a theocracy, basically.
Then his own revolutionary group.
France, Germany, Spain, Indonesia, Argentina, Hungary, Chile, and the like. The norm, which might be different given how strong America's institutions are, is that the army kills large numbers of the leftist elite and the rest go quiet. Then becomes a conservative military dictatorship for a decade on average. There is that the military is by far the most loved and respected institution in America, 80% support, compared to
Which is insane.
Congress, the universities, and the media, which are all at 20%.
The problem is this is divided. Congress, for example, you have people who are active fascists in Congress. Obviously, if you're a left-wing person, you don't support that. But you may, if you're a liberal person, you may well support Joe Biden. But if you're a left-wing person, you don't support Joe Biden. Because you do support Joe Biden over Donald Trump. You do support Joe Biden over the fascists in Congress. This is not really a very correct thing, because you just think as a whole institution, yeah, no one should support Congress as a whole institution, because it's a divided institution. You know, television news is the same. Why would you support all television news? It's a divided system. The criminal justice system is not divided, but it is terrible. The criminal justice system does not pump out people who are no longer going to commit crimes, because it sets them up for failure. And also, it is basically similar to a military camp. It radicalizes people into, not radicalize, that's the wrong word, but, it pushes people into who are not guilty into these sort of crimes. Newspapers are the same as the television news, same thing there. Big business, that's both people. If you're a far leftist, you don't like big business because they're big business, and if you're a far rightist, you don't like big business because you think that big business is trying to push LGBTQ plus people down your throat. Organised labour, that's just a dubious question there. Wouldn't like to question that. Is that out of people who aren't organised, who aren't organised, or is it like, what is that coming from? Are you getting that statistic from people who are organised, people who are organised, and people who support that, or what? Public schools, once again, public schools are in terrible disarray. People want more funding to them. That's not really true. Banks, obviously, people on the left and people on the right are also going to distrust the banks. You have anti-Semitic, all that stuff. They're obviously going to be distrustful of the banks. So that's obviously going to be up, down, there. The medical system is awful in the US, so of course they're going to be terrible down there. People on the right don't like the medical system because they don't like Medicare and all that stuff. They also, in fact, the medical system is very poor quality. I think the doctors are overcharging what they are. Also, people on the left don't like the medical system because it isn't, publicly owned. Supreme Court is obviously not going to be very popular, because Supreme Court is kind of almost dictatorial, unelected sort of power that has very little say, and also is very politicized. So I don't know who really is against this sort of thing will be against that sort of thing. That people left will be against this sort of thing, because of course it's against them. But I don't see, obviously people won't be very happy because people don't have Joe Biden, because Joe Biden has very specific ideology. Of course, the problem with Joe Biden is that he has policies, and then that they disagree with the left, and then also has things that rhetoric they disagree with the right. So now the right or left are really supporting. So that's the sort of same thing with Congress. The church organized religion, obviously people were against that for, you know, obvious reasons. You know, organized religion is very dangerous. Police, sort of similar thing there. People don't really like the police murder people on a regular basis. And small businesses, well, obviously someone on the left would probably not be too inclined to someone who's very far left wouldn't be in support of left, but very far right would prefer to support big businesses, unless they think that the whole thing pushing LGBT people down the throat. I will ask a question: big business and small business. If you combine the two together, what do you get? Is 93. What's the rest? And military, yeah.
And that makes a military dictatorship
America's very stupid.
more plausible than you could probably imagine.
The military is viewed favorably because of propaganda. A military dictatorship is not viewed favorably in America. Try to poll people. How do they feel about military dictatorship? Let's see.
An important fact to consider is that the more developed
Also, by the way, if people support the military, it's either because they think the military would support their ideals. Sorry, it's not either. It just is. Now, does it? Is a different question. But clearly, they think it does. Clearly, they think the military is good. So, if you're a left-wing person, you clearly think the military is good if you support the military. You know.
country has more likely to go to right-wing totalitarianism and the left to the left. The only countries that go communist are feudal pre-industrial peasant ones like China,
That's not true.
Vietnam, or Russia. Meanwhile, when Germany, Japan, Spain, and the like went authoritarian, they went for fascism.
Germany, as I said before, had about an equal distribution between fascism and communism. We give to voters.
Not a single Western.
They didn't go for fascism in Spain. The fascists just won the civil war.
Yeah, and in Germany, the fascists had 30% of the vote, not actually winning it. So you know.
Going the other way. Future Freddy here again. It's not like Germany or Japan had any sort of democracy to begin with before they turned to fascism. It's not like Germany under the Kaiser was a bastion of democracy. The Weimar Republic was a brief interim between two authoritarian regimes. Plenty of situations like that in South America as well, but it could have gone the other way, and in Southeast Asia.
If America has anything to worry about in its future, some form of
Yeah, and when it comes down to it, like, you know, it's not really true to say that, you know,
aggressive militaristic Christian fascism is probably it. Would have felt distant. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed that video, please.
At least we agree on that one. This video is kind of tendentious garbage. The only funny stuff is like when he says genuinely insane shit like the rural faction will most likely win in an American Civil War when you literally have an example that he doesn't really point to where the exact opposite happened. Or, for example, quoting Mao Zedong for saying why a left-winger can't win.
Yes.
Is HelloFresh worth the price?
No, it's not.
Absolutely.
No,
I just
it's
love
not.
the idea of having my meals
Do ya?
planned and food shopping taken care of.
Prison.
And now that I've
Prison's
tried it for a few
life,
weeks,
isn't it?
I can say that I actually save money with HelloFresh.
Which you don't, interestingly. You don't save money with HelloFresh. It's the same way that, like, if I sold you, like, one bean for 10 cents. Yeah, it's cheaper than buying, you know, a tin of beans for £1. But the tin of beans gives you more than 10 beans, so... No.
This week, I
You
ordered a herb chicken with lemon pepper fries, Middle Eastern chickpea bowl,
Really?
and honey glazed salmon with roasted veggies. Before
Oh.
HelloFresh, the thought of planning and shopping for all the different ingredients would make me want to give up before it even started.
I
And
mean,
then
personally,
I
for me, I think that the biggest part of cooking
The Civil
is
War.
actually the cooking part, not actually the buying of ingredients. That's just me, though. That's just me.
Or, yeah, this is very funny.
It's the thing that takes the longest amount of time. It's the cooking part.
It just kind of proves, not necessarily that, because he of course has other arguments that build up to this point, and then he very strangely quotes Mao Zedong. But it just kind of proves that his like whole thesis, and this is not necessarily...
Also, if you don't want, you can just get, you know, food delivered to your door. There are loads of delivery services. I don't mean like Deliveroo. I mean literally ingredients delivery. Like they come from the shop, like the actual shop. You know, not through some weird sort of Amazon-esque fuck the workers ideology from HelloFresh.
like about a civil war and like how that would play out. This is a manifesto. This is about the politics of the United States today and what he believes a society should look like. It's just kind of framed in this like weird, funny
Yeah.
alternate history way, and that's why this becomes so confused. And he gets all these things like, he meanders so much, and all these things sort of come together like this, where Mao Zedong argues is supporting his argument that left can't win a war. Honestly, just altogether a very strange video. I'm gonna start editing this one, and it's probably gonna take a while. If you like this video, please hit the like button, comment down below. If you came from his channel,
Like,
here he is. If you wanna check him out, what if all
okay, we'll have to check that out now.
pissed, you'll find him right there. If you came, and there will be a link to his video in the description down below as well if you want to watch the original one without me talking over it or pausing and stuff. If you came from this video, please don't say some dumb shit in my comment section. Keep it clean, so on and so forth. Other than that, I have some links as well to my Discord. Again, if you came from this video, I probably don't want you there. And my Twitter, which, if you did come from this video, I do want you on my Twitter. I think it would be very funny to talk to you there. Thank you all for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. Goodbye.
Yeah, so in general, I think that we've got that's an edit of the video, and that's a relatively good thing. I think. That's the thing. So we've liked the video, and shall we subscribe? I think for now we will. We'll have to check out to see to make sure. But yeah, let's dive in to see. Do we have more stuff here? There we are. So
Of this video a couple years ago.
okay.
God, I was back in high school back.
Jesus, I actually sound like one of those, things. God, that time then we were so young, we didn't know how to shoot a man's head off with one single bullet. So they now have 500,000 views, 500,000 subscribers. That's 5,553, and before they had 4,000. That's very good. 100,000 subscribers in just over a year. 2 million views, and the original video had I don't know how many views the original video had when this was reacted to. But yeah, let's take a little look around, eh? Oh, hello. This is their channel, apparently. So this is their channel. NPCs. The coming fall of Russia. I don't think Russia's gonna fall, to be honest. I think Russia's a, mass was colonialism, good or bad? I can tell you right now, it's fucking bad and destructive to the future of humanity. What happened to modern feminism? Is the dollar doomed? Why communism is a failed religion? The coming far-right backlash. Ooh. Understanding Islamic... Oh, my fucking god. That's that... Okay. That is definitely... I mean, I know my videos aren't great, but like... What the fuck? What's that one there? Okay. Anyway, I know my videos aren't great, but like seriously, those videos seem like pretty bad. Okay, so anyway, that's that. Going back to the original channel, you can go ahead and you can find for the in the link in the description and all those sort of things like that. So yeah, go ahead, find them and all those things. Indeed. Hope you enjoyed that video. Original video in the description. Also, one side thing. You know the person they recommended. Okay, so yeah, this channel appears to be where we're looking here. Just it appears to be one of those channels where it's like you know the Washington Post, like that, like socially left wing kind of, but economically right wing, like market economics, but also not saying not saying that. So I think there definitely is an issue with that, but I don't really know why your man was pointing to this channel, because it doesn't appear to agree with their social justice warrior bullshit. But who knows? Goodbye. Oh, one side thing. Yeah, few points. Yeah, this person, not the person right, but the other person, they appear to not have very good understanding of the left or right. So that's a little complicated there. The video wasn't the original video wasn't very good, and yeah, at the end of the day, goodbye.